So you start. Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I am audible. My name is Sfanele Matebule. I am from the South African Council for the Artificial Profession. I am going to be the program director for today's webinar. I would like to welcome everybody here present. I do acknowledge that we do have some of our council members in attendance, but I do want to acknowledge them as in their capacities as our registered persons. Colleagues, in this webinar, we will have two presenters. We will have Abongile Jatlisa, who will treat the topic, maintenance of registration. We will then have Mr. Basil Ingle, who will treat three topics. One is the CPD conditions and requirements. Two will be the CPD compliance status in the profession. And the last one will be how to claim for CPD points. Ladies and gentlemen, I declare this webinar open. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Jackson.
Greetings, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Matebula. I will be taking you through the maintenance of your registration just before Basil comes through with the CPD information, CPD compliance, and CPD categories. I will be sharing my screen where we will be covering. Let's see. Just bear with me as I'm looking to share my screen. Sorry. Okay, good morning once again, colleagues. My name is Abongile Jatlisa, and I'm from the registrations department, the registrations officer. I'll be taking you through your maintenance of your registration. And of course, part of that will be checking out the logging in process and password recovery as you try and log in, because we get a lot of queries around this. Some registered persons are not aware on how to log in, if they know how to log in, but how to recover their password. So we thought it important that we must also cover that part there. In maintaining your professional registration, there are mainly three points that a professional needs to take into consideration. Number one is the payment of annual fees. And number two is complying with the CPDs. Then you have the adherence to the code of conduct. Now, what we normally get as a council, you find a person is very consistent with their payment of annual fees. However, you find that they are lacking in mainly maybe the CPD compliance. So I just want to emphasize this, that in order to maintain your good standing, because this does not only speak to you being registered with SACA, but it also addresses the issues of you being in good standing. So you need to be paying your annual fees. You need to be compliant with your CPD requirements and also adhere to the code of conduct. There are mainly two out of these 3 points. There are mainly two that will affect your registration to a degree where your registration with SACAP is cancelled, which is the payment of annual fees and the adherence to the code of conduct. Of course, it depends to the severity of the case, but not adhering to the code of conduct can definitely lead to your registration being cancelled with SACAP, and definitely the payment of annual fees as well. Without a doubt, it does lead to your registration being cancelled. We are a bit lenient with the compliance of CPDs, because at the end of the day, we do need you to be compliant, and therefore your registration with SACAP is not cancelled if you are not compliant with CPD requirements. However, what happens is it affects your good standing. This means you will not be able to download your certificate of your good standing, or even your registration certificate itself. You will not be able to generate or to download that because of the not being compliant with your CPDs. And of course, the issue of annual fees, these are in terms of the Architectural Profession Act 44 of 2000, which has the right to determine the fees. In doing so, the council annually determines and publishes the fees applicable to a specific financial year. So our fees are always sent, the invoices are always sent out on the 1st of April each and every year, as determined by the council. Okay, what happens after the cancellation of a registration? A person who had their registration cancelled due to non-payment of annual fees can apply for re-registration. The applicant will be liable for a payment of an applicable fee. Registered professionals and registered candidates. The registered professionals will be registered and will retain their previous registration number. So what is important to highlight here is you find that someone else is, or a registered professional is cancelled while registered as a professional architectural technologist. And when they, maybe some of them, they will then go quiet, only to find out that they have been studying, but they did not inform SACAP that they are studying. All they did, they abandoned their registration and they furthered their studies. As a result, when we check on our site, we will see that you owe your annual fees. Then they get their highest qualification, whether they were pursuing their master's qualification. They come back and when they expect to be re-registered in a higher category, taking into consideration the qualification that they would have obtained. So that phase point there is important to take note of, that if you got cancelled as a professional architectural technologist, even if you have a master's degree, when you come back to be re-registered, you will be re-registered in that category of a professional architectural technologist. And then only after you have been re-registered, you can apply for the upgrade. Okay, and of course, you will be required to obtain and claim two category 1 CPD points within a year. Basil, my colleague, will go deep into that. And then you will have access to your PVC registration certificate. So for that year, you are given 12 months after re-registration to be able to comply with your CPD requirements. And during that 12 months, you will be able to have access to your certificates, whether it's your professional registration certificate, your certificate of competence, and your certificate of good standing. You will be able to have access to those only for that period of 12 months while you are being given an opportunity to comply with your CPDs. But as I said, Basil will go deep into that. And then registered candidates as well. The same applies for candidates when they re-register as well. They will be re-registered in their registration categories. And not a higher, and also if they have a higher qualification, only then they will be eligible to apply for an upgrade to a higher category. While still on candidates, can once again submit MTRs. No MTRs can be submitted for the period that a candidate is not registered with SACAP or a candidate's profile is cancelled. So this means if a candidate is cancelled but continues to work for you as mentors, you also need to have this understanding, as much as they do, that whatever work they may be able, fortunately this time around, they will not be able to submit any work onto the MTR system, simply because we've managed to merge the two systems, the monthly training records and the SACAP main profile of the candidates. We've managed to merge. So if a person is not compliant or their registration category is cancelled, for whatever reason, they will not be able to have access onto their MTR profile. So unlike previously, where the MTR system used to be separate, and they would still be able to log on onto that MTR system, even though their main profile or account with SACAP would be cancelled. Hence, we have that point there that says MTRs that might or would have been submitted within that period of being cancelled will not be taken into consideration. Okay, and that will be all in terms of maintaining your registration with SACAP. Those 3 points, I hope you took note of that, because we get a lot of queries and some registered persons are angry saying, but I've been paying my annual fees for all these years. Why can I not get my professional certificate? And you need to be aware that there are 3 things that affect that professional certificate. Is your annual fees and your CPD compliance, and then you also have the so annual fees and the CPD compliance and the code of conduct as well. It affects your good standing with SACAP. Okay, moving on to logging in and recovering your password. Is quite an easy peasy process. You simply go to our SACAP website, www.sacap.sa. Top right corner, the blue tab there, it says RP login. When you click there, it's then going to require your login details. Your username, most likely always going to be your password, your email. Then you're going to put in that email address and your chosen password. And then you'll be able to log in. Once you log in, you will land on this dashboard. On this dashboard, as you can see there, you will be able to see different applications that are accessible for professionals, whether you want to apply for a special consent or a recognition of prior learning. Those processes are all there. Whether maybe you want to write the exam, you simply click on the exams. And then from there, you will be able to apply to write the exam. Mainly that option, of course, will be explored perhaps by professional draft persons who might have written a paper 1 previously. This is, of course, speaking to professionals, but candidates already understand that is their dashboard and where to access the application for their exam. Then you've got the tab there that says certificate URLs. That is where you get all your certificates. I spoke of 3 certificates: your professional registration certificate, your good standing certificate, and your certificate of competence. And your certificate of competence, these are certificates that may be required when you submit your tenders or when you submit your plans to the municipality. And you've got the tab there, 4th from the right, MTRs. This is for professionals where you access your candidates to sign off their monthly training records, and of course for candidates to submit their monthly training records. When you click on that tab of MTRs, it will redirect you onto the MTR system. And then you've got the CPD tab that from your right, that is where you will be making your CPD claims. Then assessment, if you've got any assessments or tracking any assessments that are outstanding on your site. And then the library, where you will be getting various documentations and communications from SECA. But this is your dashboard. Then let's say now you forgot your password, which you also get this a lot. Right at the bottom of your login tab there, you have a forgot password. The minute you click on that, you don't have to call SACAP and say you lost your password, or you can simply just click on your forgot password, and then you will be required to put in your email address. Then once you put in that email address, you will then receive that link and be redirected to this screen here, which requires your email address, your new password, and then you will then be able to submit. Once that is submitted and your new password would have been captured and updated, then it takes you again to the login screen where you will be able to log in your recently updated details. And that will be all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mongele. Thank you, colleagues. We want to appreciate Mr. Abongile Jatesa for the well-articulated presentation. I do hope that you do take away some important information here. In particular, you have to acknowledge that failure to comply with the CPD requirements might amount to misconduct, and if that is the case, you might find yourself answering to the legal department via the disciplinary tribunals there. So just take care to be mindful of all these requirements. Colleagues, I do know that from time to time you will be typing questions in the platform. I want you to be aware that we will have a question and answer session. In the event that your question has not been answered via the platform, you will get a chance to ask the question in the question and answer session at the end. Please do be mindful of the fact that our questions must be limited to this CPD webinar. If you've got general questions, please feel free to email us your questions to info@sacapsa.com. If you have got legal questions, do feel free to send us your questions to legal@sacapsa.com. We are moving along now to the next topic, CPD conditions and requirements. Our colleague, Basil Engel, will take care of this topic. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Engel.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody present. My name is Basil Engel. I'm the CPD officer. I am the person you contact should you have any issues relating to your CPD and whether you need assistance in obtaining your various SACAP certificates on your online profile. So I'll be presenting the webinar on CPD. Now, in terms of Section 13 of the Architectural Professional Act 2000, that's Act 44 of 2000, SACAP determined the conditions relating to the nature and extent of CPD required in order to qualify for the renewal of registration as contemplated in Section 22 of the Act. And Rule 2.7 of the Code of Professional Conduct states that a registered person shall regularly engage in continuing professional development in the practice of architecture and to enhance and maintain his or her professional expertise and competencies. The CPD conditions are currently set out in the schedule which is published in the Government Gazette. The latest one was on the 10th of February 2023 as Board Notice 390 of 2023. Now, who can lawfully offer or approve Category 1 CPD activities? The voluntary associations and the accredited architectural learning sites are approved for the purpose of offering Category 1 CPD activities. Voluntary associations are approved for the purposes of validating and monitoring Category 1 CPD activities, which are offered by third-party providers who are not recognized by SACAP in terms of these CPD conditions. This implies that Category 1 activities must be presented or validated by the SACAP recognized voluntary associations or presented by the SACAP accredited architectural learning sites. This is very important because that means that the event which you submit on your profile for Category 1, unless you are practicing abroad and you are practicing in a country which is a system of CPD, it will have to be validated by a SACAP recognized voluntary association, or it will have to be presented by a SACAP recognized architectural learning site. The voluntary association can also validate events which are presented by third parties. So those service providers that require validation must approach the voluntary association in order to validate the events for Category 1 CPD points. Now, who must undertake CPD? The CPD condition stipulates that all persons who are registered in a professional registration category are required to undertake CPD in order to renew the registration. It includes registered professionals who are practicing abroad. That is important. That means if you are practicing abroad, you are also bound by the CPD conditions. The SACAP Council may grant a full or partial exemption from these CPD conditions. And the Council may also, upon a fully motivated and substantiated application, grant an extension of period of compliance. The extension applies only to Category 1 CPD points. And it indicates that the only persons who are retired and no longer carrying out architectural work are exempt from the CPD requirements. This is important. That means that all SACAP registered professionals are required to comply with the CPD conditions, including professionals who are practicing abroad. The next slide will be on CPD requirements for registered professionals practicing abroad. Right, this one is numbered from 1 to 5. On number 1, it indicates that where a system of CPD is being applied in any particular country, such requirements may be accepted by the Council provided that documentary proof of compliance with such CPD requirements is submitted. This may be in the form of a certification by the relevant accrediting authority in the country concerned. So therefore, if a registered person is practicing abroad and they are practicing in a country which has a system of CPD, that registered person may provide his proof of compliance in that country with their CPD requirements. Point 2 indicates that the points earned in terms as set out in point 1 will be converted to be in line with the allocation of the points applicable in South Africa, i.e. 10 hours is equal to 1 point. That means that if your event that you attended abroad is for 4 hours, but it indicates 1 point, it will be converted based on the duration of the event, and you will be given the equivalent points, which will be 0.4. They will be converted to the equivalent in South Africa. Number 3 indicates that if no CPD is undertaken by the registered professional practicing abroad in terms of point 1, he or she may, upon their return to South Africa, apply for the necessary extension of time for compliance to provide him or her sufficient time to obtain and claim the required CPD points for the renewal of registration. That is also important. If the registered professional was not able to obtain the required CPD points while practicing abroad, in the country he was practicing did not have a system of CPD, on his return to South Africa, that professional must apply for the necessary extensions in order to obtain the required CPD points in order to comply with the CPD conditions. Point 4 indicates that any registered professional practicing abroad may register for CPD courses in South Africa via e-learning. That means that if you are practicing in a country abroad, which may have a system of CPD or which may not have a system of CPD, then you may register for CPD events in South Africa online, and you may attend those events. You will obtain your certificate and then you will submit it on your online profile. Point number 5 indicates that registered professionals practicing abroad have the option to cancel the registration and re-register upon their return to South Africa. The next slide is on the summary of CPD categories and the CPD points required. Now, the required CPD points are as follows. During each 5-year cycle, every registered professional must obtain a minimum of 25 CPD points in order to qualify for renewal of their registration. A minimum of 5 CPD points must be obtained and claimed in Category 1, the developmental activities. In addition to the requirements set out above, a registered professional must obtain at least 3 points per annum, of which at least 1 point must be obtained in Category 1. This is very important to professionals. The requirements for CPD, there is an annual requirement, and there is a requirement over the 5-year period. The annual requirement requires a minimum of 3 CPD points, of which one of these points must be from Category 1 developmental activities. The 5-year requirement is a minimum of 25 CPD points, of which 5 points must be from Category 1. Now you will note that SACAP states that a minimum of 3 CPD points is required per annum. If you only claim the minimum of 3 CPD points per annum, you will not obtain the required points after 5 years. 3 points per annum will only give you a total of 15 points after 5 years. Therefore, it means that the minimum points that you can obtain on a yearly basis is a minimum of 3, of which 1 point must be from Category 1. But that is a minimum. You may exceed those points, because in order to make up 25 points over the 5-year cycle, you will be required to obtain an average of about 5 CPD points per year, of which 1 point must be from Category 1. But SACAP only set it at a minimum of 3 to allow you flexibility, so that in 1 year, if you do not obtain as many points, you may still comply by hitting that threshold of 3 points, of which 1 is from Category 1, and compensating the following year by obtaining more points. Hopefully that clarifies the required points on a yearly basis and then the points required over the 5-year period. Now, if we go into the various categories, if we look at Category 1, which is called the developmental activity, this is the compulsory category. Category 1 indicates that it's for the attendance of structured educational developmental meetings, conferences, seminars, workshops, lectures, etc. It indicates that these events must be presented or validated by the SECAP recognized voluntary associations. It also indicates that these events must be presented or accredited by the SECAP architectural learning sites. That is important. It means for category 1, the events must be validated by the SECAP recognized voluntary association, or it must be presented by the SECAP recognized architectural learning site. So the voluntary association must issue the certificate, or the architectural learning site, which is recognized by SECAP, will issue the CPD certificate for the event. It is compulsory to obtain a minimum of 1 point per annum. Over the period of the 5 years, it is compulsory to obtain 5 points in category 1. There was an addition to the CPD conditions in later years where it allowed for mentoring of architectural students in studio at any of the accredited SECAP architectural learning sites, that's the universities, on a voluntary basis for at least 4 hours per week over the period of a year to the maximum of 5 points per year. The second portion on category 1 requires that a report be provided by the SECAP recognized architectural learning site. It needs to confirm that this activity took place, it needs to confirm the duration of the event, and it needs to confirm that the individual that is claiming for that was the individual that was mentoring those students in studio. The report must come from the university. Then the individual can claim those points in category 1. Category 2 is for the work-based activities. It is split between 2A, which is for the architectural work, and 2B, which is for the in-house training and mentoring of candidates, apprentices, and architectural students. Category 2A is for project work or for our lecturers. It's for lecturing at the SECAP accredited architectural learning site. That means for your project work, and if you are doing architectural work, you can claim points in category 2A. And if you are an academic and you are lecturing at a SECAP recognized architectural learning site, you can also claim category 2A, points in category 2A. The points are determined by the duration of the event. 400 hours of work, if you are doing project work, will enable you to claim 1 point. If you work more than 800 hours, then you will be allowed to claim a maximum, which is 2 points. So 800 or above 800 hours per year of architectural work will enable you to claim the maximum, which is 2 points for that year. If you are lecturing at the SECAP recognized architectural learning site, 400 hours or 800 hours, as soon as you exceed 800 hours, you claim the maximum, which is 2 points. The lecturing is important because it means that the points in category 2A for lecturing will only be approved if you are lecturing at the SECAP recognized architectural learning site. If the place where you are lecturing full-time is not a SECAP recognized architectural learning site, these points will not be approved. Category 2B is for in-house training or mentoring of apprentices. It is important that these apprentices are registered with SECAP. Or candidates, it is important that these candidates are registered with SECAP, or architectural students as required by their validated architectural programs. These architectural students are students that are studying architecture at the SECAP recognized architectural learning sites. It's not for students that have now completed their degree. It's for students that are currently studying architecture at the SECAP recognized architectural learning sites. The requirement as part of their degree is for them to do in-place training. So category 2B points, if you are mentoring an apprentice, a candidate, or an architectural student, 50 hours of mentoring is 1 point. That can be claimed on an annual basis. So if you're mentoring for 50 hours or more than 50 hours, you can claim 1 point. Over the 5-year period, that will enable you to claim a maximum of 5 points. For your architectural work, you'll see that per annum, if you work more than 800 hours, you can claim up to 2 points. Over the 5-year period, That category will allow you to claim up to a maximum, which is 10 points. So that's category 2A and category 2B. Category 3 is called the individual activity. It's split between category 3A, which is for the membership of one or more SACP recognized voluntary associations, and category 3B, which is the individual's activity. Category 3A, membership of one or more SACP recognized voluntary association. You can claim a point in this category if you have been a member of a SACP recognized voluntary association for at least a whole financial year. The maximum points that you can claim on an annual basis is 1 point. Over the 5-year period, if you have been a member of the voluntary association for the whole 5 years, then you can claim a maximum of 5 points for the 5-year period. Category 3B is the individual activities. Now, the points in category 3B, the maximum that you can claim per annum, it indicates that a maximum of 3 points can be claimed per annum. And over the 5-year period, it indicates that a maximum of 15 points can be claimed per annum. Category 3B activities are quite, the table indicates quite a large number of activities. You will see that it covers activities which take place at the architectural learning site, and it also covers activities that you do in your personal capacity. You'll see that it indicates relevant postgraduate degrees. It indicates that for relevant postgraduate degree, you can claim up to 3 points per year. Other relevant postgraduate qualifications, it indicates 2 points per year of study. Evaluation of master's or doctorate thesis as an external examiner, 2 points per year. Supervising of students undertaking postgraduate studies, 2 points per year. Oral examinations of final year and postgraduate students, 1 point for every 10 hours of active involvement. Validation of educational programs for accreditation purpose, 1 point for every 10 hours of active involvement. Publication of refereed articles, single author will be 2 points per article. For 2 authors, it will be 1 point per article. Publication of professional or technical articles, 1 point per article. Papers presented at conferences or congresses, 1 point. Presentations given at workshops, seminars, refresher courses, etc., 2 points for every 10 hours. Part-time lecturing to undergraduate and postgraduate students, 1 point for every 10 hours. Participation in statutory professional, institutional, and technical or non-technical committees, that is 1 point for every 10 hours of active involvement. Self-study, which includes but is not restricted to studying of journals or electronic or computerized material. There it indicates 1 point for 10 hours of study. Relevant community activities, 1 point for 10 hours, including travel time. Specialist activities such as arbitrator, mediator, forensic architecture, environmental impact assessment, that will be 1 point for every 10 hours of active involvement. And adjudication of awards and recognized architectural competitions. That's 1 point for 10 hours of active involvement. So we can see that in category 3B, there's quite a number of activities that you can do in order to claim CPD points. This category requires information. Make sure that when you're claiming points in this category, you provide all the relevant information pertaining to your activity. The points, you can see that it indicates various points which can be claimed. The maximum points which can be claimed in this category is a maximum of 3 points per year. That means on an annual basis, you can only claim up to 3 points for category 3B. Now, this section touches upon notifications regarding renewal of registration. And it indicates that the council shall notify registered professionals during the 3rd term, that's between July and September of the 5th year of the cycle, regarding the renewal of registration. Number 2 indicates that electronic renewal notices will be sent to all registered professionals confirming the requirements for the renewal. And number 3 indicates that the council may call for such documentary evidence from the registered professional as it may deem necessary in order to approve the points claimed. And number 4 indicates that if the council is satisfied that the registered professional has met the requirements for renewal of their registration in terms of CPD, the council must indicate such decisions on its register within 30 days of making such decision and inform the registered professional of such decision and of the fact that his registration or his or her registration will be subject to these rules and be valid for the next 5-year CPD cycle. That means that SACAP sends out various notifications. We do send out annual notifications to all registered professionals. That means if you are registered as a professional, please make sure that you have not unsubscribed from receiving emails from SACAP, because when we send out those annual notifications, you will not receive them because you have unsubscribed from receiving emails from SACAP. When we send you various notifications, it may be regarding your annual fees, it may be to remind you on a required CPD points on an annual basis, it may be to invite you to attend CPD events, or whatever SACAP needs to communicate with you. If you have unsubscribed, you will not receive those notifications. And please ensure that your email addresses on your online profiles are correct to make sure that you receive all the communication which SACAP sends to you. Now we'll touch upon non-compliance with the CPD conditions at renewal of registration stage. It indicates that if the registered professional has failed to comply with the requirements of the CPD conditions, then the council must within 30 days inform the non-compliant registered professional of this fact. Registered professionals must apply for an extension, the period of compliance. Such an extension will afford the registered professional until the end of the calendar year to ensure that they meet the requirements for renewal of registration. That is important. No application for extension will be considered without the necessary application and proof of payment for the administration fee having been submitted. That means your application for extension will not be considered until it has been paid and the application has been completed in full. And then number 3 indicates that the registered professional will be required to obtain and claim the necessary points for the renewal of registration, as well as the minimum number of points required per annum during the year that the extension is granted. That's another important point. That means that if your 5-year cycle is over the period of year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, 5 years, you require 5 points in category 1. That means if you have only obtained 3 points out of the 5 points, you must apply for an extension. The extension will be granted for a period not exceeding 12 months. That extension will allow you to attend additional workshops to obtain the required points. That means that which is still outstanding for that previous cycle will be 2 points. That extension period, when the extension is granted, it requires 1 point. So that means you must make sure, although you may have had 3 category 1 points for your 5-year cycle, and you calculating that you still require 2, the next 12-month period also requires 1 point. That means during the extension period, you would have to obtain an additional 3 category 1 points, not 2, 3. 2 will only complete the category 1, and then you are behind by 1 point. So make sure that during the extension period, you obtain the points that are required in category 1 for your previous cycle, and the 1 point that is required on an annual basis for the period that the extension is granted. Now, if the registered professional fails to comply with the CPD conditions, it indicates that any registered professionals who fails to undertake CPD or to comply with these rules shall be charged with improper conduct for failure to comply with Rule 2.7 of the Code of Conduct and the provisions of Section 27(3), 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33 of the Act, and it indicates they apply mutatis mutandis in respect of such a person. It further goes on to indicate a registered professional found guilty of failure to comply with Rule 2.7 of the Code of Conduct by a duly constituted disciplinary tribunal shall be fined in terms of Section 32(3)(2) of the Act. The fine is calculated in terms of the Adjustment of Fines Act 1991, Act 101 of 91, in accordance with the ratio of 1 year imprisonment. The ratio of 1 year imprisonment is 20,000 rand. The ratio is based on Section 92 of the Magistrates Court Act 1994, Act 32 of 1994, read with Government Notice R1411, and there it goes on GG 19435 of October 1998. That is very important. If a registered professional has failed to comply with the CPD conditions, he will be charged in terms of Rule 2.7 of the Code of Conduct. And there, if he's found guilty, he will be charged for non-compliance. And then there it goes on to the fines that are relevant. So please make sure that registered professionals comply with the CPD conditions on an annual basis to avoid being charged for non-compliance with the CPD conditions. My colleague Abongile previously touched briefly on this. And this part relates to the CPD requirements for professionals whose registration has been cancelled due to non-payment of annual fee. He touched upon the requirement to pay annual fee. So that means that he briefly touched that if you are registered as a professional and your registration has been cancelled due to non-payment of annual fees, you must, as a professional, apply for re-registration, and you may not practice your professional until you have been re-registered. So number one indicates that if your registration is cancelled, you must, for non-payment of annual fees, you must apply and pay for re-registration. You may not, in your capacity, practice architectural work while your registration has been cancelled. Number two indicates that such a registered professional must accrue and claim at least 2 penalty CPD points from category 1 within 12 months of re-registration. What that means is that once you have been re-registered and your registration has been re-registered to the same designation you held, SACAP will generate you a certificate which is valid for up to 12 months. During that 12-month period, this condition that requires, number two, that requires that you obtain 2 penalty CPD points from category 1 within 12 months period applies. That means your certificate will only be valid for 12 months and requires you to obtain 2 points in category 1, which is a condition of your re-registration. Your certificate will only be valid for 12 months. If you do not submit these points within the 12-month period, your SACAP certificate will lapse. And then you will be required to apply for the necessary extension and to attend and to obtain those required points. Now, the 2 points that are required, that I mentioned there as 2 penalty CPD points, these points are required in addition to the points normally required per annum. That means on an annual basis, the CPD conditions requires a minimum of 3 points, of which 1 point must be from category 1. That means the 2 penalty CPD points from category 1 that are required within 12 months of your re-registration are required over and above your annual CPD requirement. That means if you are re-registered today, SACAP will generate you a SACAP certificate which is valid until October of 2026. That certificate will be valid for 12 months. Before the 31st of December 2025, you will be required to obtain 1 point in category 1, which is for your annual CPD points for 2025. And then before the 12-month period, you'll be required to provide an additional 2 points in category 1, which are the penalty points, which are required in terms of your re-registration. And then before the end of 2026, you will have to provide an additional 1 point in category 1, which is your annual requirement. And every single year thereafter, submit at least 1 category 1 point in category 1. And then it goes on to clarify that this implies that the registered professional that re-registers, yes, they clearly indicates that you will have to obtain and claim a total of 27 CPD points during the particular 5-year cycle. A total of 7 points must be claimed in category 1. That means the 5 points are from category 1, and the additional 2 points are the penalty CPD points, giving you the 7 points in category 1. It also indicates that in addition to the original registration date, a current registration date, being the date of re-registration, will be noted on the registered professional's profile. The 5-year CPD cycle will be determined by the current registration date. That is also important because if you are re-registered, the cycle is determined by the year of your registration, not the month and not the date. So if you re-register in 2025, whether it's February, whether it's June, or whether it's November, you have to submit CPD points. Your cycle starts from 2025. Hopefully that clarifies that slide. The next slide touches upon compliance rates within the CPD conditions. And what we've given there are the figures for the 2025 renewals. On the left, we've got our categories where our professional architects are. We've got our professional senior architectural technologist. We've got our professional architectural technologist. We've got our professional architectural draftsperson. And we've got our professional architect who's doing expert services. So that was a recent addition. And indicated that, and we've got our figures for renewal. These are the latest figures. So these figures are subject to whatever SACAP has done regarding the annual fees. That means that it's subject to the professionals the registration being cancelled for non-payment. We can see that we had 939 professionals who had to renew. 634 have renewed, and we can see that the individual figures, professional architect, 394 have renewed. Professional senior architectural technologists, we've got 139 that have renewed. Professional architectural technologists, we've got 53 that have renewed. Professional architectural draftsperson, we've got 48 that have renewed. And we can see the column that says extended is for these professionals who have applied for extension. So it indicates that the professional architects, out of the 556 that had to renew, 29 applied for extension. The professional senior architectural technologists, out of the 194 that had to renew, 13 applied for extension. And professional architectural technologists, out of the 94 that had to renew, 6 applied for extension. And the professional architectural draftsperson, out of the 94 that had to renew, 6 applied for extension. And the professional architect expert services, we had 1 individual that had to renew. He has not applied for an extension as yet, giving us now the total of RPs that have complied. We can see that for professional architect, we had 394 renewed and 29 extended. That gives us 423. The professional senior architectural technologists, we had 139 renewed and 13 extended. That gives us 152. The professional senior architectural technologists, we had 53 renewed and 6 extensions. We had 59. And the professional architectural draftsperson, we had 48 renewed. 6 were granted extension. That gives us a total of 54. And that gives us our total figures. We had a total of 939 professionals we had to renew in 2025. 634 have renewed. 54 have been granted extension. That gives us our total compliance rate at 688. Now, you'll see that means our total complied is 688 out of the 939 that had to comply. That means that we have professionals who have not complied yet. The professionals who have complied have got a valid SACAP certificate on their online profile, and they can submit plans at the various municipalities and apply for those related services. But the professionals who have not complied with the CPD conditions will not have a valid SACAP certificate. Those professionals must submit all the required points, or they must apply for those necessary extensions to make sure that they have complied with the CPD conditions. The table on the right indicates the compliance rate. It indicates that our professional architects, per category, that means the category of professional architects, the 556 professional architects, 76.07% of them have complied, and the professional senior architectural technologists, 78.35% have complied. The professional senior architectural technologists, 62.76% have complied. The professional architectural job person, 57.44% have complied. And that category for professional architect expert services, we only had one professional in that category. He has not complied, giving us a compliance rate of 73.26. The graph below indicates the same information, just in the graphic format, where we can see that the blue section is for those professionals who had to renew. The red section would be those who have renewed, and the green section would be those who have been granted extension. It is important to note that professionals who have not complied with the CPD conditions and whose registration has not been renewed will not be able to submit plans on the various online platforms. The municipal platforms are starting to check. They are integrated with our systems. So if you do not have a valid SACAP certificate, you may find that you are not able to submit or proceed with your application on the municipal portals. The next slide is just a roundup. It indicates that registered professionals must claim CPD points on a continuous basis as they occur during each year. That is important. It means that once you've attended your CPD events and you've received your CPD certificate, then please log into your online profile and submit them on your online profile. They will be evaluated by SACAP, and they will either be approved or remediated, or whichever processes will be followed. That is important because once it's recorded on your profile, the relevant attachments will also be there. So after 5 years, all your category 1s will already be recorded. And as you record your CPD points on a continuous basis during each year, your statements will populate on your profile, and therefore you can determine what points are still outstanding and what you still require. Number 2 indicates that the registered professionals who are in good standing and have complied with these CPD conditions will have a valid certificate on their online profiles. That is important. It means that if you have not complied, you will not have a valid certificate on your online profile. If you attempt to make submissions, the online systems at various municipalities may pick up the fact that you do not have a valid certificate, and they will prevent you from proceeding. They may refer you back to SACAP. Our legal department, in terms of Rule 2.7, will charge you for professional misconduct, because 2.7 states that registered professionals must constantly and regularly engage in CPD. They will charge you for in terms of that section, because you have not complied with the CPD conditions. Then number 3 indicates that the online submission system of some of the municipalities, once again they do check if the professionals have a valid certificate and will not allow the submissions of plans if the professional does not have a valid SACAP certificate. So this is gradually being rolled out. There are municipalities which are gradually migrating online, and that means that the system, the process becomes live. The minute you submit or you apply on those systems, they engage with our system. Our system will report that you do not have a valid SACAP certificate, and you will have problems proceeding with your submissions on those municipalities. So it doesn't take long. So please ensure that you always comply to prevent finding yourself in a situation where you can no longer submit plans because you have not complied with the CPD conditions. And the last one indicates that the provincial QR code on the SACAP certificate can be scanned in order to verify the certificates. So the certificates that SACAP issues are digital certificates. On those certificates is a QR code. The QR code can be scanned, and on the device where you're scanning the QR code, it will reproduce the SACAP certificate with an updated provincial. If the individual is still in good standing during the period in which you are scanning the provincial, it will report that the individual is still in good standing and produce the valid certificate. If the individual is not in good standing during the period in which you are scanning the provincial, it will report that the certificate is no longer available. The individual must contact SACAP. So the QR code can be scanned on the certificate. It will verify the authenticity of the certificate because it reproduces the certificate. If the individual changes the particulars on that certificate and he's printed it on paper, he may change the particulars, but the minute you scan that QR code, it will connect on our systems, it will verify, and it will produce the original certificate from the system. And from there, you will be able to determine if the certificate has been tampered with. And that will wrap up the first part of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Much appreciation to Mr. Basil Engel for such a beautiful, insightful presentation. Mr. Basil Engel is our walking CPD encyclopedia. So if you have questions, queries, concerns on CPD matters, you just drop us a call or an email. You request to speak to Basil. He will hastily attend to your queries because he is quite knowledgeable on the CPD subject. Colleagues, Basil did touch on the fact that your failure to comply with CPD requirements might attract the sanctions in terms of the code of conduct. You must bear in mind that if you have been sanctioned by our disciplinary tribunal, not only is it going to affect you financially in the sense that you have to pay a fine, it also goes to your name, to your reputation, because our legislation under section 32, subsection 5, requires that if you have been found guilty of misconduct and have been sanctioned, such must be published in the Gazette. So it impacts on you negatively in the sense that the public will become aware of your transgressions. They might therefore not give you instructions or work. And the ultimate result is that you will starve. So that is not what we want. In the profession, we want compliance, we want professionalism at all times. Dear colleagues, we are way ahead of our schedule. I see that my colleague Basil has already done the two topics, that is the CPD conditions and requirements, as well as the CPD compliance status in the profession. So he has covered all two at one go. At this point in time, I'm going to request that we take a body break, say 5-7 minutes, for us to just relax a bit, and then we'll reconvene. Time is 11:03. Maybe let us reconvene at 11:10. Thank you, colleagues. Greetings again, colleagues. Welcome back from our short comfort break. We will now proceed with the topic how to claim for CPD points. Sorry, Basil is still on the podium to take care of us for this topic. Over to you, Mr. Basil.
Good morning once more. Hopefully everybody is returned. The session is important to registered professionals because it will cover how you must navigate the online system and how you submit your points and claim those points from the online profile, and as well as where you attach your various documentation. We'll start off, my colleague Abongile touched upon it. Your online profile, you access it electronically. You've got a username and a password. You navigate to sakapsa.com. You click on RP login. You enter your login credentials. Then you click on log in. Once you've logged in, you will end up on the landing page. On the top of the website, there's a tab that's written CPD on top. So you must click on CPD. On the top of the web page, that means once you are logged in, on the top of the web page, there's a tab written CPD. Click on that tab, CPD. Then it will display a tab which looks similar to the slide which appears before you. Then once you're on CPD, it will give you three options. It gives you an introduction, then it gives you an option to view your CPD statement is option 1. Then it gives a second option to upload CPD points is option 2. Then the third option, it will say CPD extension application. From here, you can download your statement, you can upload CPD points, or you can apply for an extension. So in order to upload CPD points, you click there where it says upload CPD points. Below there where it's got a green button where it says click here, you click there. Then when it loads, you will be presented with a screen which appears as the one in front of you. That means once you've clicked on upload CPD points, a similar screen to this will appear on your profile. In order to start recording your points, on the right side, there is a green button which is written add new. That means you must click on the add new button. But before we proceed, you will note that on the left, just higher up, there are tabs. The highlighted one currently indicates current. You'll see that the next tab says archived, then it says awaiting approval, then it says awaiting remediation, then it says rejected, then it says statement. Those are various tabs which you can click on. But in order to submit CPD points, when you get here, you click on that add new green button, which has got a red box around it. Once the system is loaded, it will present you with a screen which looks like this. It will say capture all your CPD points. The first item that appears says that the date the activity took place. So in here, you need to enter the date on which that event took place. If you are claiming category 1 for your workshops, then you must have a look on your certificate. If the event falls on multiple dates, then enter the last date of the event. That means if the event is from the 11th to the 14th of November, you enter in here 14th of November of that specific year. The dates that are entered must be entered in a format year/month/year. You will see that the system gives you an option to select on the calendar and to scroll to the specific date. Or to go faster, you can just remove whatever's there and manually type it in. Year/month/date. That is the date on which the event took place. When you are claiming category 1, you enter that date. In title, you enter the name of the event. Whatever's written on that CPD certificate, you enter that name in title of CPD. Then you select your category. On category, it will give you the options between category 1, developmental activities, category 2A, architectural work, full-time lecturing, category 2B, which is the mentoring category of candidates, apprentices, and architectural students. Then it will give you the option for category 3A, which is for your membership of the SACAP recognized voluntary association, and category 3B, your individual activity. So amongst those 5 categories, you select the relevant one for which you are claiming CPD points. If it's for category 1, you select category 1 developmental activities on CPD category by clicking on that drop down. Then the points are will be recorded on your CPD certificate. That CPD certificate will indicate whether it's 0.4 or whether it's 0.2 or whether it's 1 point or 1.5. The points you record them as per the CPD certificate. The next one says CPD attachment, and it says they choose file. That is where you click in order to upload your relevant certificate. Once you click on choose file, it will open up a secondary window. On that window where it opens up, you need to navigate to wherever you have saved your CPD certificate. You click on that certificate and then you click on OK. It will return you back to this window and it will show next to CPD attachment that it has an attachment by displaying the file name that you've attached, and then you can proceed. On activity code, in activity code, you must enter the name of the SACAP recognized voluntary association that validated the event. The name of the voluntary association that validated the event. So we've got numerous voluntary associations. You enter it in activity code. If you're not sure, leave it out. In expiry date, the expiry date is in terms of your CPD cycle. So if your cycle, your CPD cycle is over the 5-year period, the expiry date will be the date that is printed on your certificate. For example, if it's the 1st of January 2030, then the expiry date is the 1st of January 2030. Once again, the date is entered in the format year/month/day. Or alternatively, you can use the calendar and scroll until you find the date. The field which says SACAP competency only applicable to category 1. This has become a recent requirement. It means that you must select the SACAP competency that appears on your category 1 CPD certificate. You click on the drop down and you select the competency that appears on your certificate. So in order for you to submit category 1 claim successfully, all these fields must be completed. You must also attach the relevant category 1 CPD certificate from the SACAP recognized voluntary association, or alternatively, if the certificate is from a SACAP recognized architectural learning site, we can also submit that. The learning site, the SACAP recognized architectural learning site will just not have the SACAP competency on the certificate. So if it's one of the universities, you will put the name of the university in activity codes. There's a number of universities. That's what you would put in such a case where you've obtained a certificate from a SACAP recognized architectural learning site. The date of the event is the same. The title of the event is whatever's on that certificate. The category is similar. It's category 1 if it's category 1. The points similar to the certificate. You attach the relevant certificate from the architectural learning site there. The activity code, you put the name of that SACAP recognized architectural learning site in there. Then your expiry date is the same. It's the date on your certificate. That's the expiry date of your 5-year cycle. Please note that your expiry date may be also referred to your 12-month period. That means that in a situation where a registered professional the registration was cancelled and they had to apply for re-registration, the condition requires 2 points within 12 months of re-registration date. So if you are submitting those points for that purpose, you would record the date on which that 12-month expires on the expiry date. And then you will attach all relevant documentation and select the competency where it applies. On category 1, please note that we will only accept Category 1 certificates which come from the SACAP recognized voluntary association, which indicates the SACAP competency. If it comes from the SACAP recognized voluntary association and it's for category 1 and does not indicate the SACAP competency, then you will find that your claim is remediated and it's sent back to you, and you are required to go back to that voluntary association and to obtain an updated SACAP certificate, which requires or which indicates the SACAP competency. So you complete all these fields, then you attach the certificate, and then you click on submit. Once you have clicked on submit, the system will now take you to awaiting approval. You will see that the tabs now have moved from current to awaiting approval. Now awaiting approval is highlighted. That is a tab. You can click on it. You can click on the other tabs next to it to view what is in there. Under awaiting approval, it will display the submissions which are awaiting approval. That means once you submit something, automatically it takes you to awaiting approval. And in there, you will see the recorded CPD points. You can view them by clicking on view. If you have made a mistake, you'll see there's an option for delete, and you can delete that record. That means that these points that are on awaiting approval have not yet been evaluated by SACAP, and you can still view them and delete those records. Once SACAP has processed and evaluated your submission, and they are happy with all the provided documents, and your claim is approved, those points will appear under the current tab. So you'll see now we've moved to the left to the current tab. So the current tab displays the points which are approved. So those points, it will only allow you to view them. So once they are approved, you cannot do much with them. You can only view. Your current points which are approved will appear under the current tab. If we go to one of the other tabs that says awaiting remediation, that tab is for points which you have submitted, and during evaluation, SACAP was not happy with your submission. There was either something outstanding, or perhaps you've provided the document which you provided is blank and does not contain your certificates, or it does not have sufficient information. Then those points will be placed in remediation and will appear under remediation. In order to view the remediated points, under the remediation tab, it will give you an option to remediate and to delete. To view the remediated points, click on remediate. Remediate has got that red square. You can see it on the slide. It's got the red square on the slide, so you can click on remediate. Then it will open up the submission the way in which you submitted it. The reason for remediation will display at the top of the page. It will indicate the reason why it was remediated, or it, various reasons, or it may require additional documentation or additional information. The registered professional or the registered person will have an option to make the required changes and to resubmit. That means that once you are in this section, you can make all the necessary changes and resubmit attachments, and then you will see at the bottom, it will allow you to resubmit. So remediation, once you are in here, you can make the necessary changes and change values and change your documentation and attachments and update whatever you need to update. Then you can resubmit. You'll see at the bottom, there's a button which says resubmit. It will allow you to resubmit. Once you have resubmitted those points, they will appear under the awaiting approval. The next slide indicates the tab which is written rejected. This tab will indicate the points which you have submitted to SACAP, which SACAP is not happy with, and they are of the view they will never be approved. For example, if you claim that you are a member of a SECAP recognized voluntary association, and you claim that under category 3A, but in your title group, you put there that you are a member of SECAP. Those points will be rejected. SECAP is not a voluntary association. We are a regulator. And those are the type of points you will find under rejected. So rejected points, under the tab that says rejected, you will see that on the right of that submission, under the comment section, it will indicate there the status of that, and it will give you a view, a tab that says view. If you click on that view button, it will return to the way in which you submitted that submission. On top of that submission, it will also indicate the reason for rejection. Then it will display everything as you submitted it. On top, it will indicate the reason why that has been rejected. The rejected points, you will note that it does not give you an option to resubmit. It only gives you an option to go back. So rejected points cannot be resubmitted. If you are of the view that those points are correct and they have to, and you want to resubmit them, you will have to make a new submission. You cannot resubmit from rejected. Now we will proceed to the tab before you clicked the upload CPD points, which was on the left, which was CPD statement. In order to view your CPD statement, you've got one of two ways. From your online profile, I know that if you are logged onto your profile, there's a tab on your right, and that says CPD statement, and you can select that, and then it proceeds similar to this one. But to download a statement from your profile, you can just click on CPD statement by clicking on the click here. Then once it loads, you have to indicate the cycle of the statement that you want to download. You will see that it indicates you 4 options in which you can take to obtain your statement, which is to generate an Excel statement, generate a yearly CPD Excel statement, generate a PDF statement, and generate a yearly CPD PDF statement. So the difference between the two, the generate yearly CPD PDF statement, I would recommend that that's the one that you must use, generate yearly CPD PDF statement, because it displays your points in a grid. So that one is self-explanatory and you won't get confused. The generate PDF statement displays your statement in a format of a transcript. So there you may not fully understand it, and you may not be able to determine which points are allocated to which cycle. So I would recommend you always select the generate yearly CPDF statement. So select your cycle. Once it's selected, click on generate yearly CPD PDF statement. The PDF statement will be downloaded, and then you must open that PDF document to view the statement. The statement will appear as similar to this to the that's in front of you. This is a snapshot of a statement from the online system. You will see that it shows your yearly summary. Then it indicates your cycle, your CPD cycle. Then it indicates the categories: category 1, developmental activities; category 2A, architectural work, full-time lecturing; category 2B, work-based activities and mentoring; category 3A, individual activities, membership of 1 or more voluntary associations; and category 3B, individual activities. That means that it indicates all those 5 categories. Then it gives you the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, and then it indicates your total. So we can see that the first one on top says category 1, developmental activities. The first year on that example is 2019. That means that such individual has obtained 1 point in category 1 in 2019, 2 points in 2020 for category 1, 1 point in 2021, and 1 point in 2022, 2 points in 2023 for category 1, giving this individual a total of 7 points in category 1 developmental activities. SACAP requires a minimum of 1 point in category 1 for each year. such individual would have complied with the category 1 requirements because they have obtained a minimum of 1 point for each year, giving them a total of 7. The next category is category 2A, full-time architectural work or full-time lecturing at a SECAP recognized architectural learning center. The maximum points that can be claimed per year, if the activity exceeds 800 hours, is 2 points. And you can see here that the individual has claimed 2 points per year. 2019 is 2 for category 2A, 2020 is 2 points, 2021 is claimed 2 points, 2022 they've claimed 2 points, 2023 they've claimed 2 points, giving them a maximum of 10 points in category 2A. That means the maximum points in this category have been claimed. Category 3A is for the membership of a SECAP recognized voluntary association. If you are a member of a SECAP recognized voluntary association for the whole financial year, you can claim a maximum of 1 point per year. So that's a maximum of 1 point if you are a member of a voluntary association. It does not make a difference whether you're a member of 1 or more voluntary associations. You may be a member of 3 different voluntary associations during that year. The maximum points you can claim in that category, category 3A, is 1. So that means for being a member of all 3, you will still only be awarded that 1 point. You can see that indicates category 3A, 1 point for 2019, 1 point for 2020, 1 point for 2021, 1 point for 2022, and there was nothing recorded in 2023, giving a total in this category of 4 points. Category 2B is the mentoring category for work-based activities. And we can see that in category 2B, it indicates for 2019, individual obtained 1 point for mentoring, 2020, 1 point for mentoring, 2021 was nothing recorded for mentoring, 2022, nothing recorded for mentoring, 2023, nothing recorded for mentoring. That means for the mentoring category, this individual only claimed for 2019 and 2020 and giving him a total of 2 points for the mentoring. The next category is category 3B, individual activities. We can see under the column 2019, it indicates 1 point was obtained in 2019. In 2020, it indicates 2 points. In 2021, it indicates 2 points. In 2022, it indicates 3 points. In 2023, it indicates 1 point, giving us a total of 9 CPD points. Category 3B indicates that the maximum points which can be claimed on an annual basis is a maximum of 3 points. So potentially, if the activity exceeded 30 hours, such individual will be able to claim the maximum, which is 3 points per year, and a maximum of 15 points in category 3B. But this is what is recorded on the statement, and the statement will reflect what is approved on your profile. So from this statement, you can make a determination of what still needs to be submitted. There are gaps where it reflects 0. That means there's something that was not submitted. But this particular statement indicates that the individual obtained a minimum of 32 CPD points over the 5-year cycle, of which 7 points are from category 1. And then if we look on a yearly basis, the last column at the bottom, it says total. So for 2019, we can see that the total points submitted for 2019 is 6 points. 2020, the total points obtained in 2020 is 8 points. 2021, the total points obtained is 6 points. 2022, the total points obtained is 7 points. And the total points obtained in 2023 is 5. Bear in mind that the CPD conditions stipulate that a minimum of 3 points must be claimed per year, of which 1 point is from category 1. That is a minimum. There you can clearly see that you may claim more than that. You must average about 5 CPD points per annum, of which 1 point is from category 1. So this is a type of statement that the system generates. And from here, I think it's clear cut. There you can clearly see your category 1. If you do not have sufficient category 1, it will not indicate that you have obtained 5 points. And you can see there where it does not indicate category 1 points, if it's got zeros, that means you have not submitted category 1 in the profile. So this statement, it's fairly simple. You can use the statement, constantly submit your points and download your statement, see how far you are. This will make it simple for you to track your CPD standing. Now, the following slide indicates the SACP professional competencies. This has been a recent addition on the requirements. That means that your category 1 CPD certificate, if that event and that certificate has been issued by a SACP recognized voluntary association, those voluntary associations which are recognized by SACP, that CPD certificate must reflect the SACP professional competency. They are up to 10 competencies. So that means the voluntary associations must issue you a certificate, indicate the date on which it occurred, the points, the category 1 points, the attendee, your registration number, and the SACP competency that the event was validated for. If your certificate is uploaded on your profile and you claim CPD points and you provide a certificate from the SACP recognized voluntary association which does not reflect the SACP competencies, that claim will be remediated and you will be requested to go back to that voluntary association and to request an updated certificate which indicates the SACP competency for that event. So all the voluntary associations must issue a category 1 CPD certificate which reflects the SACP competency. So you may find that you are submitting your category 1 certificate on your profile and SACP keeps on remediating it and sending it back and saying, please go back to the voluntary association and obtain an updated certificate which reflects the SACP competency. This is what is being referred to. It means that the document you have provided does not reflect that SACP competency and therefore cannot be approved. We can no longer approve a category 1 claim if the certificate from the SACP recognized voluntary association does not reflect the SACP competency. That's why we will send it back and request you to obtain the updated certificate from the voluntary association. There may be older certificates which you are still to submit, which were issued by the SACP recognized voluntary association. That means that if you have older category 1 CPD certificates which predate July of 2025, if your older certificates are older than July 2025, they may not reflect that SACP competency. You may still submit those on your online profile. They will be evaluated and everything is correct, they will be approved. So we only want the new certificates from July onwards. They must reflect the SACP competency. If they do not reflect the SACP competency, they will not be approved. The following slide indicates it gives an example of one of the category 1 CPD certificates. And we can see that there clearly indicates again, it reinforces that a category 1 claim will not be approved if the CPD certificate from the SACP recognized voluntary association does not indicate the SACP competency for the event. And it indicates that the SACP professional competency must be indicated on the category 1 CPD certificates. The example there is from one of our voluntary associations. We can see that it says it was awarded to first name, last name, then they indicated the registration number, they indicated the date of the event, the date the certificate was issued, then the name of the event, we can see the voluntary associations, and then we can see under SACP competency, it indicates office practice, legal aspects, and ethics. Then we can see category 1 CPD points, it indicates 0.5, and we can see that it comes from the voluntary association. This is an example of a certificate which contains the SACP competency. Therefore, please make sure when you upload your CPD certificates on your online profile, the certificates that you upload post July 2025 contain the SACP competency. All the certificates prior to that, you may still submit which do not indicate the competency, but those after that period will be remediated and you will be required to provide the SACP competency. Please note that your certificates which are issued by the SECAP recognized architectural learning sites, for example, the universities, will not reflect the SECAP competencies. Those certificates will still be accepted in category 1. This requirement applies to the SECAP recognized voluntary associations. So if you've attended one of those category 1 events, you've done it through architectural learning sites, and they've issued you with a category 1 CPD certificate, that will still be accepted. You can submit that in category 1 and that will be approved. My colleague touched upon the SACAP URLs on the profile, so we'll just go over it again. Your SACAP certificates, if you are registered as a SACAP professional, then you are in good standing, meaning you have complied with the CPD conditions. You will have a valid SACAP certificate on your online profile. There is the tab that says certificate URLs on top, which you can click. And then you will be presented with various links. These various links are for the various certificates. So you'll see that there are good standing certificates that indicates it's a certificate. There is a registration certificate that indicates it is a certificate. There is also a certificate of competence, which on this particular slide, there is no link to. I'll just cover the certificate of competence in a moment. Then there is, below that, it indicates privy seals. So on this link, you'll find your certificates and privy seals. The privy seals are digital verifications of those certificates. So the privy seal is a QR code which you can scan, and it will reproduce the accompanying certificate. So in order to obtain your SACAP registration certificate, you need to click on that link. That's to the right of SACAP SACAP certificate URL that begins with HTTPS. If you click on that, it will display your SACAP certificate. Now, I wanted to touch upon that certificate of competency. The certificate of competency is a certificate which is issued in terms of the identification of work. So that certificate displays the building types that your registration and you as the individual are allowed to do. Now, it is only available on the categories that are registered in the category of professional architectural draftsperson. They will have a certificate of competence if they are in good standing. And it's also available in the category of professional senior architectural technologist. And it is also available on the category of professional architectural technologist. So professional architectural draftsperson, PAD, professional architectural technologist, PAT, and professional senior architectural technologist. It is only, the certificate of competence is only available on the profiles of individuals that are in good standing and are registered in these 3 categories only. If you are registered as a professional architect, you will not have this certificate available on your online profile. It is issued in terms of the identification of work. And that means that, remember that the identification of work limits the building types that individuals who are registered as a professional architectural draftsperson may do, a professional architectural technologist may do, and a professional senior architectural technologist may do. Those certificates of competence will display the building types that the individual is allowed to do as per his category of registration, and any additional building types that are approved by council. So that means if that individual has applied for LSD, limited special dispensation, or special consent, and it was approved, that certificate of competence will indicate what his category of registration is allowed to do, and any additional approvals which were done in terms of identification of work. So if he's got additional building types, it will display on that certificate. So that's what the certificate of competence is. The next example is an example of a SACAP certificate. The certificate, you can see it says certificate of registration. It indicates Mike Jones. Mike Jones is just a test profile. We can see the category of registration indicates professional architect. We can see the registration number, it indicates PRR 12345, it is a test profile. Then it indicates the original registration date. It indicates a current registration date. Your original registration date may be the date in which you were registered with SACAP as a candidate, and then you completed your internship, and then you became a professional. Once you are a professional, then you get a current registration date. So your current registration date is tracking your professional registration. However, if you have been deregistered for non-payment of annual fees, and you have applied and you've paid for re-registration and you have been re-registered, your current registration date will be amended to the date of your re-registration as a professional. So that current registration date, if you have been re-registered, will only start recording from the date of re-registration as a professional. So in this example, we can see it says 2004, and then we can see a serial number for that certificate, and then we can see the certificate indicates that it was valid until the 1st of July 2024. So in order to have a valid certificate, that date there in that example, which is shown as the 1st of July 2024, must be current or in the future. If it's in the past, that certificate is no longer valid. We can see that below it indicates that our president, it's got his particulars there, and our registrar has got his particulars there. There are no signatures because these are digital certificates, and there have been issues in the past where signatures are lifted from the certificates and documents are created, additional documents, and that signature is pasted in those documents. So these are digital certificates. They do not have a signature. They are verified and authenticated by the privy seal, which is at the bottom of that certificate. It indicates there that SACAP has confirmed the above information for digital certification and sharing by privy seal. It indicates a time, it will indicate a date, and then it gives you your QR code, which can be scanned. And then it also tells you on the right that the certificate is only valid if the registered person has paid annual fees and has complied with the CPD requirements. That means if you have not paid your annual fees and you have a valid certificate, once they deregister your registration, you may be in possession of a hard copy of your certificate. The minute your QR code is scanned, it will tell you that that certificate is no longer valid. The system withdraws any certificates that have been issued once your registration is cancelled. So make sure that your certificate is valid and is updated. When issuing certificates to municipalities, they may require you to download an updated certificate. On that certificate is a privy seal. It's got a date and a time. This example is printed on the 22nd of February 2024. That means this certificate was downloaded on the 22nd of February 2024. That is what the timestamp shows. So if you provide a certificate like this, they may turn around and request you to download an updated certificate. They want to see that updated privy seal. If you log on to your online profile and download your certificate, it will update with the date and time of the day in which you downloaded that certificate. So you need to get a more recent certificate in order to submit those plans to council and apply for those tenders and so forth. That is an example of what your certificate of registration looks like. And that concludes the second presentation on how to claim CPD points. Should you have any issues or you are struggling on how to claim, or you do not understand how to submit CPD points, we are available in the CPD department. My name is Basil. I am the CPD officer. Either I will assist you myself, or perhaps one of our CPD administrators will be able to assist you. But contact SACAP, the CPD department, and we can assist you. Thank you.
Thank you, Basil, for the presentation. It is much appreciated. Colleagues, I do note that there was a lot of information to take in. I do hope, though, that you have been managing. Like he is mentioning, if you've got any further queries, you may reach out to SACAP, and SACAP will attend to your questions. Colleagues, we are ahead of schedule. At this point, I'd like us to move on to the question and answer session. So we'll be taking, we'll be noting hands and taking questions in the sequence that we would have noted the hands, and we'll move on like that. You have the floor then, colleagues. Just if I may add, colleagues, please be mindful that when you ask the questions, try to limit them to this webinar or to CPD related queries. If you are struggling with submitting your plans from the municipality, or the municipality is bullying you in whatever way, we encourage you to raise such queries with us via our email info@sacapsa.com, not through this platform. Thank you so much.
No.
Colleagues, we don't see hands. Maybe you still want to think about questions to pose.
Yeah, I see there. Yeah, there. You see hands?
Yeah.
If you go on participants.
Laura, I see your hand is up. You may ask your question. Yeah.
Mine?
You can unmute Laura. Johannes, Francois, please come through. You are not audible. Johannes. Okay, Amukelang, please ask your question. Hello, Amukelang. Is it us or we having issues with hearing them? Anyone, please just ask a question.
They can confirm, they can leave. I see in 2 minutes.
I can see we've got a few people that have their hands up. Please just come through. Just ask a question. Unmute yourself and just ask a question. Manugu, can you hear us? Manugu? Manugu, please unmute.
Colleagues, it looks like we are having a technical problem at this point. Perhaps let's take a 5 minutes break while we try to contact our IT to determine what is the issue. 5 minutes, colleagues, we'll be back.
Questions.
In the meantime, you can prepare the question. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Swa?
Yes, Abongil, I can hear you.
Okay.
We seem to be having an issue with hearing the participants.
Yeah, let's get Muzi to come through and assist if he can.
Mr. Mizzi must mute and mute.
So they can't.
Yeah, we have to first unmute them. And he must unmute them. See?
Oh no. Okay. So he must do the unmuting.
Yeah.
Manoko, unmute your oh yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Jonathan. Please ask a question.
Hi, yes. I've re-registered as of October 2024. And I was unaware that I was aware of the penalty points, which, to be honest, I'm a little bit late in getting. But I wasn't aware that I had to comply, which is kind of obvious, but I wasn't aware, it wasn't in the re-registration form that I had to comply with my annual points. So obviously I didn't get any from October to December 2024. So my question is, must I now apply for an extension? And what does that cost me? What is the process? Apart from I've seen on your webinar, how do I get that extension? Because even when I went into that now while you were talking, it says I must get an invoice issued before I can make the payment to proceed with that. So, but it doesn't tell me how much it costs, etc.
Okay, thank you for the question, Jonathan. Ezra will address it.
Good afternoon, Jonathan. I'm assuming that your SACAP certificate.
I lost you there, Basil.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Jonathan. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm assuming that you were re-registered from what I get it in 2024 October. Therefore, your certificate would have been valid for a period of 12 months. It should be either November 2025. I'm assuming that that's correct. And therefore, if you have not obtained those 2 points which were required within 12 months of your re-registration, you must apply for an extension. The extension, you can complete the extension application form from your online profile. There is a tab that says extension application. It means the process of applying for extension. You need to complete an online form where you are required to provide your particulars. It's going to ask you what is the reason of you applying for extension. It's going to ask you what is your action plan. And then you need to pay the extension application fee. The extension application fee is currently gazetted at 2,110 rand. It's 2,110. That is a fee that SACA publishes on an annual basis. Currently, it's 2,110. So you can complete the extension application on your online profile and then make payment online. Typically takes about 2 working days to evaluate your extension application. The extension will allow you additional time to obtain those required CPD points. If you are re-registered in 2024, it means that you will have to obtain a minimum of 5 CPD points in category 1, because 2024 requires 1 point, 2025 requires 1 point, 2026 will require 1 point. Those are the annual CPD points, and the condition of re-registration will require 2 points. That means 3 points are annual points plus 2 additional points, which are the penalty CPD points. Therefore, you must obtain 5 points within the extension period in category 1.
Okay, no, I do understand that. My question is, because I didn't know that I had to get a point for 2024, and I only had 2 months remaining from October to December, I didn't get that. So how do I get it in hindsight? You know, the years passed. So what is the process for me complying to the 5-year CPD cycle when I didn't get any category 1 points for 2024, because I only re-registered in October and I wasn't aware. I thought all the requirement that was made of me was that I had get the 2 penalty points within a year. That's all I knew. I still intend to get those points. I know it's going a bit long before November, so I don't necessarily want to apply for an extension to get the penalty points, but I don't have any category 1 points for 2024. So at the end of the 5-year cycle, it's going to be a problem for me.
Jonathan, if your certificate is valid until November 2025, that means by November 2025, you must submit a minimum of 4 points in category 1, 2 of which is for the penalty points, 2 points is for your annual points, 1 for 24, 1 for 25. If you have not obtained these points, then you will require an extension. However, if you are able to meet the required 2 points, which is the penalty points, before November 2025, assuming that your certificate is valid until November 2025, then once you have recorded those points on your profile and they have been approved, then your updated certificate will be generated on your profile. So the reason why the system will not reflect an updated certificate is because those 2 points which were required as a condition of your re-registration are outstanding. Once you have provided those 2 points, then an updated certificate, which should be valid until the 1st of January 2029, will become available on your profile.
Okay, thank you. I understand. So I must focus on getting the penalty points before that date, and then I must get the required points, even though I didn't get it in 2024. As long as I have 5 category 1 points by the end of the 5-year cycle, it will still be okay. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because we will not penalize you for that because you were re-registered late in 24. That means by 2026, by the 31st of December 2026, your annual CPD points for category 1, you must have a minimum of 3. That excludes the 2 penalty points. So you need to make sure you compensate on your category 1 points to make sure that by the 31st of December 2026, you have at least 3 points in category 1. And therefore in 2027, 1 point in category 1 is required. 2028, 1 point in category 1 is required, and so forth.
Okay, thank you. I understand. I'm gonna, do as many courses as I can to hopefully get the points by November. So that's fine. And then if I don't, I'll apply for an extension.
Right, no problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Laura Milandri, you may speak.
Thank you.
Laura?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Please continue.
I wanted to say thanks and well done for the great online system. I find it really efficient. Yeah, I just had a few questions. First, in general, how long does it take for SACAP to review new CPD submissions on the system?
Laura, the CPDs, the evaluation of CPD takes up to 30 days. That is, the maximum is 30 days because we have over 9,000 professionals and each professional can submit in excess of 6 CPD points per year. So you can only imagine how many points come in, but they take up to 30 days to be evaluated. But you may see that your points are evaluated perhaps within the first 7 days.
Thank you. Great, good to know. And then my second question is, I understand that SACAP is considering giving or changing the CPD point category for annual membership in a voluntary association from category 2B, I think, to category 1. Is that true, and when would that take effect?
Laura, that board notice is a board notice which is still in the works because there are some clauses in there which still need some finalization and changes. I do know that that board notice is in draft format. It's not finalized. There was a suggestion for such. As far as I understand it, it would be for category 1 for running a voluntary association. So it wouldn't be equivalent to your membership of a SACAP recognized voluntary association as a VA as indicated in 3A.
I see it as for running the association, not for being a member.
Yes.
Thank you, clarified.
Yes.
And then lastly, if you don't mind, I missed where we can access our professional architectural certificates on the PR SACAP website. If you wouldn't mind just recapping that, I would be much appreciated. That's all my questions. Thank you very much.
Laura, just a recap, you said you missed where you can, and for Laura and for anybody else who needs a recap on where to obtain your SACAP certificates on your online profile. When you are logged into your online profile, there is a tab on top that says certificate URLs. So click on that tab that says certificate URLs. And then you will be presented with your various links. Now, on the left will indicate what the item is, and then towards the right, it will indicate the links. The links on the right are active, so on your side, you can click on them. Then it will load your SACAP certificate. So you'll see there's a certificate of good standing, which is a certificate. There's a SACAP registration certificate. If you click on the accompanying link on the right, which begins with HTTPS, it will load that SACAP registration. And then you may have a certificate of competence as well, depending on your category of registration. And all the links will be there, including the privy seals. The privy seals are towards the bottom. They are the ones that indicate privy seal. So they will say good standing privy seal. That means it's a privy seal for the good standing certificate. Registration certificate privy seal. That means it's a privy seal for the registration certificate. And then certificate of competence privy seal. That's the accompanying privy seal for the certificate of competence. The privy seal is a QR code, so it is much smaller, and you may find that the municipality, when you are submitting plans, requires you to insert the privy seal in the header of your plan. That is where you obtain your privy seals. You can open it. It is a small QR code with your particulars on there, and then you can copy it from your profile and then paste it on your plan and send your plan for submission. The municipality, by seeing your QR code on your plan, they can scan that QR code and then it will display on the device where they are scanning your relevant certificate. So in that way, they can see your category of registration and determine whether your certificate is still valid, and therefore determine if it is a certificate of competence, if you are performing work within the identification of work that is specified for your category of registration. Hopefully that clarifies where you can obtain your SECAP certificate and your Privy Seals from your online profile.
Next, could you please have Lucas Maseli? Could you please unmute and ask your question? Mr. Lucas? Okay, I think maybe there's an issue. Can we go through to Mr. Leon Reddy? Leon Reddy, can you please unmute?
Thank you very much. Good day, everybody. I have two questions or two topics that I would like to be discussed clearly, so we can reduce the problems we're having out there. My first topic is with regards to PI cover. Does it PI cover, is it required in a 5-year cycle to earn CPD points? And another addition to that is, up to submission stage at the municipality, do we need PI cover or not? And then the reason I'm saying this is because the municipality is given the powers by the national building regulations. Up to the point that a plan is approved, the municipality is taking accountability and approving that plan itself. So the challenge is the markets are very difficult for lots of people, but on a professional level, to submit a plan, does one really need a PI cover up to when it gets approved? When a client or a homeowner starts building that property, when is the PI cover relevant and when is it irrelevant? And is it or is it not compulsory? If we can answer that one, and then after that, I'll go to my next question.
Greetings, sir. So whilst your question on PI specifically does not necessarily arise from this webinar and the points discussed in this webinar, I am going to answer it anyway. In terms of the code of conduct, if you are a registered person and you are mandated to perform work on behalf of your client, you are firstly required to, before you undertake that work, to ensure that you enter into a written contract, written agreement with your client. That contract must reflect, amongst other things, details of your PI. So this then says, before you undertake any work, your PI must be in good order. And therefore, we have to have PI throughout the project life cycle. But as a matter of principle, you are required to have PI in good order before you undertake any architectural work. Thank you.
Thank you. My second topic is, in the old day, around 2006, 2007, up to 2010 or so, there was a system where we emailed all our CPD breakdowns. There was a template that SACAP used to send us, and we'd fill that out and send it back. And that's how we complied, and certificates were issued for that period of compliance for CPD. However, some of us have challenges when that new system deleted or failed to incorporate the old points and the old data sheets from some of us. I am one of those people that have had issues for many years because the system didn't follow on properly somehow. Personally, I've been arm robbed and hijacked twice. I have, in 2022, my home was also flooded, and I've moved home various times since 2007. So SACAP doesn't have the records and I don't have those records. However, I was compliant at that time, and now the website says I'm not compliant for those times. So how would we handle something like that? Because it does affect us long term, and there are glitches in the system on both sides, and we've never been able to resolve this in so many years. Thank you.
Leon, perhaps,
Mr. Reid, let me ask you some questions there. You are speaking to Messi. I wanted to find out when which period are you talking about? Your points were not. Remember, with two systems there. Which system are you talking about?
The system is it was just an email system that we used to send up to the SACAP officials, and then we would get our emails with our certificates on it as well. I've got a history of all my old certificates. However, somehow that old system and the new system seems to have not merged 100% accurately. Hence, we're having points missing.
Yeah. So that I don't have to do two and back and two with you.
So sorry, sir, I can't hear you clearly.
I am saying here that I don't want to do 2 and 4 with you, but the system that you are talking about, that is when SACAP had no system. SACAP had no system when they used to have a manual system. Then they would send you your what you call it, your certificate. After that, we went to a system called YM. All the documents that were submitted with the YM, we have them, and the document that you guys submitted using an email, we do have them on our doc system. So we need to find out which document are you talking about. We can withdraw those from the document system. Yes, now the system that we have now, the previous system and this system allows you to upload your own documents on the system. You need to upload your own documents, then we do the verification. And we are moving with time. System now, that system of sending emails and someone receive and then send a certificate, a hard copy certificate or a certificate by email is over. The certificate are generated on the system because then your certificate then they need to link so that you can get a real-time certificate with privacy. That's why we want you to upload your certificate on the system, and we do the verification and put it in there. So if you and by that time there shouldn't be any are missing there, because you should have right now as we speak, if you have got anything missing for those years, which means you are not in compliance even today, which I think is that's not the correct status of your standing right now. So if there are certificates that you feel that are not them, write us an email. We will check on the our document system and find them and put them on your system. But all those ones, they do not matter right now at the present cycle that we are in. But it's only your issue. Send us an email. We will check those. Tell us these are the emails, the certificate that I think I have, and we check on the document system. There's no document that we have lost because all documents have been put on the document management system.
So I will give it another try, and I'm hopeful that we can resolve this matter. I have lots of correspondence between SACAP and myself since 2006, but if this is the way, let's give it another shot and pray it all works out for me going forward. Thank you very much.
Leon, if I can just ask a quick question to verify. You indicated that you've got a history of your old certificates. Am I to assume that you've got records of your category 1 events which you attended during that period?
No, so let's maybe not get too much into the merit. I've got certificates. I'll email it off to whoever's going to try to assist us going further. And I do have lots of correspondence for many years. I just want to see that we can move forward with this. I don't know how many other people are in this position, but I've definitely got records on this.
Okay, then get a hold of us and let's see what you can provide, what proof. And I assume that your period covered is 2006, 2007, 2010, so it's prior to the electronic systems. If you in such a case where we did not receive your certificates, you may have sent them by post or various means. We were reliant on a third party. If they were not delivered to SACAP, we would not have received them. If you are in a position where you've got records and you've got your certificates, you can submit them to SACAP. We will still evaluate them in order to determine if your registration can be renewed.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, could you please have Mr. Paolo De Martis? Would you please unmute and ask the question?
Hello, good afternoon. I posted my question also in the question and answer section. So my question is that I checked my CPD for the current cycle of which end in 2030. So I started adding this year, and some of the recent CPD I put in there, they ended up in the archive somehow. So they basically are with the old one for the old cycle that ended in 2025. How can I fix that problem?
Paulo, am I correct did I hear you correctly saying that you've got a valid certificate which is valid until 1 January 2030? That means that your previous cycle is complete. The current system that we use, once your cycle is complete, then it migrates those points and puts them in the tab which says archive, because they are no longer necessary for your current cycle, because your current cycle would start from 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29. So that means all the points that you submit over the period 2025, 26, 27, 28, 29, they will be recorded under the current cycle. And everything prior to that is what it will add in the archived. So your archive contains your historical points.
So those few CPD courses I did, they are valid until 2030, but they are in the archive. Is that correct?
It's something that we will probably have to look up on your profile and get back to you, because we can't have a look on your profile at the moment. We are not live on the system because we are in this webinar session. But yes, what you can do is contact SACAP, ask for the CPD department. We'll have a look at your points and see. Yes. It may be caused by dates on the submissions. But if it's dates, it's not a difficult matter. We can resolve that, and then your points will reflect correctly.
Okay, might someone else is in the same situation. The thing is that it might take time to get into your website, you know, where you register all of the points, and they ended up in the wrong place. That's my note on that. I was lucky because I just checked it just after putting the points and they were not there. So I said, where are the points? I remember that I registered the points, and then I went in the archive and I found them in the archive.
Right. You can please contact the CPD department after this webinar. Then we can have a look. You can call SACAP and then we can have a look on your profile and see what's causing those points to be allocated to the archived. It may just be a simple issue of dates. I do know that if your points are from a prior cycle and your registration has been renewed, then it puts those historical points in archived. Similarly, if you are submitting CPD points for your current cycle, however, your previous cycle is incomplete, then it only displays your CPD points for the previous cycle and it puts your current points in archive because it needs to complete the previous cycle. But that's something that we can have a look on your profile and see what's causing that. and how to resolve it.
I think I might understand. If let's say that the renewal was on standing for some reason and those points were allocated and put in an archive, now that everything is sorted, those new points, can they be moved in the new cycle or they will stay in archive? If that there is.
In a case where your previous cycle is incomplete and you're still submitting CPD points for the previous cycle, and you've already started accumulating points for the next cycle, the points in the next cycle will be added in your archive until the previous cycle is complete. Once that previous cycle is complete and your registration is renewed, then the points for the next cycle will be migrated out of that archive and they will become the current points that will display. So they will move to the tab which says current, because they will be now the current cycle.
Okay. Well, I will contact SACAP and the CPD department and we will sort it out. Thank you so much.
Right, not a problem. Thank you.
Up next, we have Siulivaleng Ramakete. Please unmute. Siulivaleng.
Yes, good day, everyone. Yeah, I have only two questions here. The first one I tried to ask it earlier on during the first session, but it looks like it wasn't answered because I saw someone typing, in response to those questions that were asked. But now, it was in relation to the category 1 CPD points that you accumulate if they are more than what is required. So those ones that are actually left over, are they carried to the next cycle, or they're just part of the current cycle? That is what I wanted to understand about them. And then there's another category. I'm not sure if it is category 2B or what. That talks about mentorship. If I run a practice whereby there is no one that I am actually mentoring, now what happens there? Because now it looks like now I'm automatically losing a point. Is there any point that can substitute that kind of a point? So those are the only answers that questions that I needed clarity on. Thank you very much.
Siulivaleng, let me answer your two questions. The first one would be the question regarding category 1 CPD points that are in excess of 5 within the period of your CPD cycle. The SACAP requires a minimum of 1 category 1 point each year. Over the 5 years, SACAP requires 5 points. If you have more than the 5 points within your CPD cycle, these points do not carry over to your next cycle. They are fully allocated to that cycle. Therefore, you may find instances where you've got 10 points in category 1. You have been allocated the full 10 points, not only 5, and then the balance of 5 is carried off somewhere else. So CPD points, they cannot be carried over from one CPD cycle to the next cycle. All those points must be accumulated within that cycle. Once that cycle is renewed, you start a brand new cycle, and then you must accumulate CPD points during that cycle. Your second question pertains to mentorship in category 2B. There are 5 categories of CPD where you can accumulate points. Of these 5, the compulsory category is category 1, workshops. That means category 2A, which is for your architectural work, is not compulsory. Category 2B, which is mentoring, is not compulsory. Category 3A, which is for your membership of a SACAP recognized voluntary association, is not compulsory, and category 3B is not compulsory. That gives you flexibility. SACAP requires a minimum of 3 points per annum, of which 1 point is from category 1. It means that 1 point must be obtained in category 1, and then you can choose in which category of the remaining 44 categories you obtain those 3 points. So mentoring, if you are not mentoring a candidate, do not claim that. It's not compulsory. You can compensate in the other categories. There's 5 categories. Category 1 is the compulsory one. So then you've got 4 remaining categories where you accumulate points. Hopefully that clarifies those two questions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, we've got Pedro. Pedro, could you please unmute and ask your question? Pedro, Sakura.
Hi there. Hello?
Hi, sir. We can hear you.
Hi there. Sorry, the question I had was already just answered now with regards to carrying over points. So thank you very much. I've got the answer.
Up next, we've got Mr. Lekram, Mr. Ramlal.
Oh, hi there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, SECAP team, for the wonderful presentation. Especially when you're speaking to CPD Encyclopedia, that's a very, very high level of educator that would be able to give us the best that we want to hear. Thank you very much. Basil, I just want to thank you. I have two questions. Let me do the easy one first. You did mention earlier, for the sake of the members that are online, that they could call SECAB if they have any difficulties. May I appeal to you to kindly offer a cell number where members can contact you, because in some areas people have difficulties with calling through normal phones for whatever reason. So I would appreciate if SECAP could provide a cell number through a WhatsApp call that will help those that are in difficulty. That's my first question. I want to go to the second one. I want to thank you. I'd like you to go back to your presentation of the CPD statement that you put on the screen, which is the yearly summary. So we can just talk about a few points on there, if you wouldn't mind. If you could help me, your CPD statement where you've got the yearly summary of submissions. Basil?
We're just loading it now.
Thank you, thank you. Yep, that is the one. That is the one. I just want to run. My concern on here is I see, as far as category 1 is concerned, I'm happy to hear that you have indicated that in category 1 there is a minimum of 1 point per year, which over the 5-year period, totals up to 5. Am I clear with that? 5 is your minimum category 1 points per 5-year cycle?
That is correct. A minimum of 1 point in category 1 is required per annum. Over 5 years, a minimum of 5 points in category 1 are required. But that's a minimum.
Perfect. Thank you, Basil. I think that's clear. I just want to move on to category 3A. I've seen that whilst members are entitled to 1 point per year, on this particular presentation you have, is I've seen in 2023, the member didn't have, was not registered with a VA, and the total points were 4, but I see your bottom line figure in total points of 32, which is over and above the 25 that is required. So with regards to category 3, if a member hasn't qualified for the 1 year in a category 3A, but still complies on, over the 25 points as a bottom line figure, will SECAP accept this? Is this what you're saying is in order?
The previous question that came in asked as to whether the categories are compulsory for mentorship. Similarly, category 1, workshops, compulsory. Category 2A, 2B, 3A, and 3B is not compulsory. What is compulsory on an annual basis is a minimum of 3 CPD points, of which 1 point must be in category 1, compulsory. Over the 5-year cycle, it is compulsory to obtain a minimum of 25 CPD points, of which 5 is from category 1. That means from 2A, category 2A for the architectural work, 2B, mentoring, category 3A, membership of a voluntary association, and category 3B, it is not compulsory. 3A is not, it is not compulsory for a member to be a member of a voluntary association. So if they are not a member and then they accumulate points, they can accumulate points in the remaining category, category 2A, 2B, and 3A and 3B. Those 4 categories, they essentially need only 20 points out of those 4 categories. And then the 20 points, they can already obtain 10 points from the work. That means they just need to obtain a balance of 10 points from 3B or 3A. If they're not a member of VA, then they don't claim that. But as long as they obtain the minimum of 20 points in category 2A, 2B, 3A, and 3B, then they will, and then 5 points in category 1, they will meet the CPD requirements.
Yeah, thank you, Basil. I think you've cleared the my query, and I'm happy with that. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, could we please have Amkhelang?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, ACAP team. My question is to Basil. Regarding category 1, I find myself in a situation where I haven't gotten the 1 point required. Can I get all 5 points this year? And because I can't go back in time and go get those points. And then a second question is with regards to CPDs. I find most of my CPDs on the SACAP through the emails, but I don't get certificates and I don't know how to follow up with the people who host the CPDs to receive the certificates. A recent one is the one at WITS with Saota. I don't know who to contact. Are you able to also assist with that information? Thank you.
Am I assuming that you are still within your 5-year CPD cycle? Or has your,
Yes,
has your 5-year cycle already lapsed?
It's lapsing in December.
So is your certificate valid until the 1st of January 2026?
I have to check. When I click on that link like you showed us, it doesn't show my certificate. So usually in the previous 5-year cycle, I knew it ended in December, but I don't know exactly which date.
Okay. Okay, I'll explain it to you in this way because it may be one of 2 scenarios. If your registration was previously cancelled for non-payment of annual fees, then your certificate on re-registration would have been generated for a period of 12 months. And during that 12-month period, you would have been required to obtain 2 category 1 CPD points. If you failed to obtain those 2 points, you will have to apply for the necessary extension applications and to obtain those outstanding 2 points in addition to the annual CPD requirements in category 1 within the extension period. The second scenario would be where you've had your 5 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, that required 5 points in category 1. If you have not obtained those 5 points in category 1, you will have to apply for the necessary extension applications and then obtain those required points within the extension period in addition to those annual required points. So because we're not looking at your profile and dealing with it specifically, I'm not 100% certain, but if it's the first case where you had applied for re-registration, if you have not obtained those points, there is a provision for extension which you need to comply with. And in the second option, if you've already had your year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, meaning your 5 years are up, and you require 25 CPD points, of which 5 points is from category 1. If you did not obtain those 5 points, then you will have to apply for the necessary extension. If, however, you are in year 1, 2, 3, 4, so this is year 4 of your 5-year cycle. Year 4 of the 5-year cycle requires 4 points in category 1. If you have not obtained at least a minimum of 4 points in category 1, that means you will have to obtain a minimum of, if you've obtained, let's say, for example, 0 points, you've got nothing. That means before the end of this year, you must make sure that you obtain at least 5 points in category 1. So that by the end of your cycle, you've got those required 5 points in category 1. Or the other alternative would be for you to apply for extension.
Okay, so I was listening to your answer to Jonathan that you said there's a penalty of 2 additional points if you don't have them for the other years. So I need to now obtain 7 points in category 1.
It is it is only on condition that your registration was previously cancelled for non-payment of annual fees.
No, I've been a member
In
now
such
for
a case,
10 years. No issues of cancellations.
then it probably pertains to your 5-year cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would say have a look. If you need further clarification, then please contact us in the CPD department. We can have a look on your profile and advise you, because then we'll be looking at your exact profile. At the moment, we are on this webinar, so we are not on the live system, so I can't actually go into your profile and speak on specifics.
Okay, thanks, Basil. And my last question about contacting providers of CPDs who don't send certificates. Do you have, if I send you an email, will you be able to share contact details?
You can send your email. We will escalate it through our channels, which we have for communication. We usually engage with the SECAP recognized voluntary associations. So if from your email we are able to determine which voluntary association validated an event, we will provide you the details and provide you the contact numbers, or escalate it to them directly and request them to contact you and to advise you as to the status of your certificate and what the issue is on your certificate. If it comes from the universities, send us an email. We'll have to go back and have a look and see where we received that invite and get a hold of those people and see if they can get in touch with you and see if that matter can be resolved on your certificate. Just bear in mind that the CPD certificate for category 1 must either be issued by the SECAP recognized voluntary association, or if in the case of the universities, it must be issued by the SECAP recognized architectural learning site. That means the university must issue that certificate, and we can't accept a certificate which comes from a third-party CPD provider.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we've got our Kosi Ngwenya. Please unmute. Our Kosi Ngwenya. Please unmute. Okay, I think they've got a technical.
Hello.
Oh, all right.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So hi guys, I've got 3 questions. So the first one is relating to category 3B. So the past 2 years I was doing my postgraduate studies, but I've been registered with SACEP since 2020, but I only got my formal registration last year, October. Well, actually, I did the exam in October and got my registration in March. So my question is that if I want to get CPDs for the 2 postgraduate degrees that I have done, the one I'm completing this end of this year, do I submit the certificate that I got from my graduation, or how do I go about that?
Good afternoon. I'll take that question. Category 3 makes provision where you can claim CPD points for undertaking your postgraduate studies or your degrees. However, the period in which you can claim those points must coincide with the period in which you are doing that degree. So you cannot claim category 3B points for degrees which you've done prior to that period. So it must be the ongoing period. So if you are currently doing your degree and it's in the current year, then you can claim category 3B points for the current year. You can submit either a transcript that indicates the modules that you are doing as part of that, or if you don't have a transcript, you can submit your degree if you want as proof of that. But then if you want to claim on a yearly basis, submit the transcript, because then it will show you on this year what modules you've done, and the following year, the different modules.
Okay, so it means that for the honors degree that I did last year but graduated this year in March, I can't claim that anymore, since my CPD cycle is 2025 to 2030.
That's correct. The honors degree would predate your CPD cycle. Any event which you participate in, or event which you attend, which predate your CPD cycle, they cannot be submitted towards that CPD cycle.
Okay, thank you. Then the other one I wanted to ask was that if I have, say, like for example, this year I've got 1 CPD point for the category 1 so far, and I still need 2 more CPD points for this year to be counted as compliant. So if I apply for an extension, say for example, I'm not able to make up the CPD, the 2 CPD points in time, does that mean that in the extension, I'm then now supposed to make 6 minimum CPD points, considering that in the following year, I need another 3 minimum CPD points?
Because I'm not on your profile, I'm assuming based on what you are telling me, I'm picking up that you said that you were registered as a professional this current year. If you are registered, was it a re-registration, or were you upgraded from a professional, from a candidate to a professional? In a case where you were upgraded,
Yes, sorry. Yes, I'm listening.
In a case where you are upgraded from a candidate to a professional, your certificate should be valid for 5 years and not 12 months. Your certificate will only be valid for 12 months on a condition where you were registered as a professional, yet your registration was cancelled for non-payment of annual fees. Then in such a case, your certificate will only be valid for 12 months. And during that 12-month period, you'll be required to obtain 2 points, which are penalty CPD points, within the 12 months. And in such a case, you would need 1 point for 2025 that you must obtain before the end of this year, which is for the annual points. And then within that 12-month period, an additional 2 points in category 1 you must obtain within the 12 months. And then before the end of 2026, you would require an additional 1 point in category 1. But that only applies if your registration was cancelled for non-payment of annual fees, and you went through a re-registration process, and you were re-registered, and your certificate was only generated for a period of 12 months. If your certificate is valid for 5 years, and that means 2025 requires 1 point. If you have already obtained that 1 point in category 1, that is the required point for 2025. The next time you will require a category 1 point is in 2026. That means the remainder of the points you must obtain in the remainder of those categories. Category 2A, which is for full-time architectural work or full-time lecturing. Category 2B, which is for mentoring of SACAP registered candidates or mentoring of architectural students from the SACAP recognized architectural learning sites. Category 3A, which is for your membership of a SACAP recognized voluntary association. And category 3B, which is the same category where you would be able to claim CPD points for your degree in 2025 that you are currently doing. The maximum points that you can accumulate in category 3B is 3 points. That means that category will only award you a maximum of 3 points in category 3B. So you need to make sure that you average about 5 points per year, of which 1 point must be from category 1. Hopefully that clarifies it for you.
All right, thank you. That does clarify. Then the last question I wanted to ask was I think it's category, was it category 2, where we can submit points for I think it said 400 hours of work. So does that, how do we submit that 400 hours? Are we supposed to have like a record that we do as we continue practice throughout the year, for how many hours we've worked, or is it assumed based on the fact that, or in a week we are working, say maybe the 8 hours of work per day?
Do you not have a record of your projects? And does your projects not indicate the time that was applied to that project? And then based on your projects over that whole period, it will determine how many hours you've worked. So if you look at your projects and then look at the individual hours awarded, then you can make a rough determination as to whether by the end of the year you only have 400 hours in architectural work, or your hours of architectural work are in excess of 800 hours. In a case where it's 400 hours, then you can claim 1 point. In a case where it's 800 hours or more than 800 hours, you claim 2 points. But in order to claim those points, you log onto your online profile. You need to tell us the place where you were employed during that period. So if you were employed in 2024 and you were doing architectural work in 2024, you must tell us where you were employed in 2024 and then how many hours you worked roughly in 2024. Then you can attach a transcript or breakdown of your individual projects, which indicates how many hours you worked. We want that in order to determine how many points, if the points correspond. So that means if you say that you've worked 1,920 hours, your points, your projects must exceed 800, because 800 will give you the maximum of 2 points. So that means even if you work 2,000 hours in a year, the maximum points is still 2. 800 hours points is 2 points. So anything between 800 hours and above 800 will still earn you the maximum 2 points.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we please have Lee Hutton? Please unmute. Lee Hutton.
Hi, sorry. Thank you very much. I would like to find out, is there not a possibility that we can change the system so that when you do a course through a voluntary association, that they submit the CPD certificates directly to SACAP, and then SACAP loads it onto the profiles? That's my first question. And my second question is, what is the process in obtaining CPD certificates for attending a SACAP webinar? Because I've attended 4 SACAP webinars where I never received the points. So that's my second question. And for my last question, if I manage to accumulate the required 25 CPD points in, for example, my 4th year of my cycle, should I still be required to gain more points in my 5th year? Those are my 3 questions. Thank you very much.
Lee Houghton, let's start from the last question. You said that in your 4th year of your 5-year cycle, if you accumulate 25 CPD points in your 4th year of your 5-year cycle, I'm assuming that 5 of those points are in category 1. If you would still be required to obtain the points in that last year. Remember that the CPD requirements have got a yearly requirement and a requirement over 5 years. So your yearly requirement will not be met because the last year will not have any points required.
Okay.
So you still have to submit the points for that last year.
So then for my 5th year, I'll only be required to obtain 1 category 1 point and 2 other points, because there's a minimum of 3 points per year. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yes, the minimum required points on an annual basis is 3 points, of which 1 point is from category 1. That means if you only obtain 1 point in category 1 per year, and then you submit a minimum of 3 points from the remainder of the other categories, the system will record that you have a total of 15 points, of which 5 is from category 1. and that will be insufficient to meet your 5-year requirements, but that will meet your yearly requirements. So then you will have to submit additional CPD points, which you can submit in category 3B in order to push up your total to 25, which is the required points over the 5-year cycle.
Okay, thank you.
The second question regarding your attendance of SACAP events. The SACAP events, please make sure that when you attend SACAP events, the email address that you are registering for the event is the same email address that is on your SACAP profile. Because when we download the list of attendees for the event, we allocate those points on the online profiles based on those email addresses on your profile. So if you use a different email address, it will not match, and those points will not be able to be allocated in your profile. However, I would suggest that please either contact the CPD department after this webinar or send us an email. Let us have a look and tell us what email address you used and what events you attended. Let's have a look, and then if we find them, we will allocate those points on your profile. The question regarding the change, the question regarding the enabling the system so that it allows service providers or voluntary association to automatically upload the certificates or the points on your online profile so that it automatically reflects on your portal. The current system does not have that in place. I do know that it was a previous request. It may come in as a feature in a future iteration, but at this stage, the current system does not allow for that. But as I said, my one colleague from the IT department, he's the IT manager, he previously said that we're moving on times so that in future it might be possible to do. But currently, with the current iteration of the system, we require proof of your attendance. We do not get it from the voluntary association, and we get audited by auditors, and then the auditors want to see proof that you indicated on that certificate have attended that course, and therefore we need that proof in the form of a certificate. It's possible in future that the system will be updated to allow and more integration so that when you attend, then your points are automatically allocated in your profile. But that will be in future iterations of the system.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And then can I ask a last question? Well, sort of two in one. Someone earlier asked if there's a WhatsApp number for SACAP. It can really help us a lot if you guys can have that. Airtime is expensive. WhatsApp calling is often more affordable. That's one. And the other one is the CPD department. Do you have a direct email that I should email or with my questions regarding my CPD certificates, or which email should I use?
We do not currently have a WhatsApp number, but our stakeholder relations department may provide a solution for that at a future date. It's something that they potentially may be working on, or easier forms of engagements. We may also provide you more platforms similar to this, whereby we engage with you and say, if you've got any issues, we give you an hour, please join us online. Let's hash out your issues and see how best we can resolve those issues. But these are plans which we are planning to put in place. But currently, if you want to get a hold of the CPD department, you must call SACAP on the 011-479-5000 number. You will reach an automated line where it will prompt you. It will say for registrations, press 1. For finance, press 2. For CPD, press 3. Then press the number 3 button. Then it will transfer those calls to the CPD administrators or myself. So all our phones will start ringing in simultaneously. That means whoever answers that phone first, they will take your call. So you may either come through to me or you come through to the CPD administrators. But all of us are capable of assisting you on your CPD queries because we are in the CPD department.
Perfect, thank you. And an email? Do you have one dedicated to the CPD department, or is it only per phone that I can reach you?
You can send an email to info@secapsa.com, and there is people who answer that email, or they will simply reallocate it to the CPD department. So if you say that your query is on CPD, they will transfer it to one of the CPD administrators or to myself, and then I will respond to you directly from my email address, and then you can liaise with me directly.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Basil.
Okay. Thank you.
We have Mr. Quinton. Please unmute. Quinton Fisher. Please unmute.
Okay, can I just come in before? I just wanted to address the colleague who just is Lee. Yes, if you want to send direct email to CPD, just say cpd@sakapsa.com. CPD, those three words, cpd@sakapsa.com. Definitely it will come through. Then the other one, the question that you, I'm sure there are two people who asked about our SACAP, a WhatsApp number. I'm sure Mr. Ramra also highlighted that, which means that there is a concern, there is a need for that. Definitely we are going to have that number for SACAP number, WhatsApp number. We will communicate that number once we have it. It's a request that's coming from the professional. Definitely we have taken that and we are going to provide you that WhatsApp number. Thank you.
Kalonda, please. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Can you please have Margareta? Please unmute.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the informative session. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you. 3 questions. One, I'd like to refer to the SACAP Gazette notice on CPD. Clause 11 refers to deregistration, and there 11.2 refers to the 2 penalty CPD points after re-registration, as was discussed and relayed by you guys this morning. However, I'd just like to ask, maybe the email that goes out after re-registration should be updated, because it reads as follows. It says the CPD conditions further stipulate the following with regards to re-registration. 11, deregistration. Then it says about non-payment, can re-register after application. Then it says such RP must accrue at least 2 CPD credits from category 1 within 12 months of re-registration. This was received, Mr. Sandile Boy. So that can result in a bit of confusion, you know, because when one reacts to the email that was sent to you, say, yes, everything is fine, but these are the conditions. People don't necessarily check the gazetted notice. So the email that goes out after re-registration to be corrected, to reflect the correct wording, that it is additional or penalty CBT points. That is my one, just a note for you guys. Then I'd just like to confirm, so what you're actually saying with regards to the 25 points, since category 1 is the only compulsory category, in effect, over the 5-year cycle, one could achieve 25 category 1 points and you would be compliant with your CPD. Is that correct? And then my third, yes.
Margareta, perhaps if I can jump in and reply to the question regarding your points. Remember that there's an annual CPD requirement, and then there's a requirement over the 5 years. If you obtain 25 CPD points in category 1, it is possible to comply, but on condition that year 1, you've got 5 points in category 1, year 2, 5 points in category 1, year 3, 5 points in category 1, year 4, 5 points in category 1, year 5, 5 points in category 1. If you obtain all 25 points in 1 year, you will not comply.
Yes,
because those points have to be spread over the 5-year cycle.
Yes, correct. Okay. Then I've got a question in category 2. Can you only apply for the 400 hours or the 800 hours? What happens if you work 600 hours? Can you claim 1.5 CPD points, or how does it work?
Margarita, the board notice stipulates that 400 hours of work is 1 point. If you work for 800 hours, it's 2 points. So there is nothing in between. If you work for 600 hours, you will get the 1 point for the 400 hours. Remember that category 2A is for your architectural work. It is one of the remaining 3 categories. There's still category 2B, which is for mentoring, category 3A, which is for your voluntary association membership, and category 3B, which is called your individual activities. In category 3B, the maximum points that you can claim in per year is 3 points. That means you can claim CPD points for conducting architectural research and reading of architectural magazines and journals in category 3B on condition that the duration of those activities exceeds 30 hours, you will be able to claim a maximum of 3 points. So even if you only obtain 1 point in category 2A for your work, make sure that you are reading magazines and you are doing research and whatever you need in order to claim the category 3B component, because you need to average about 5 CPD points per annum, of which 1 point will be in category 1. So even in some years, if you don't do architectural work, but by compensating on category 3B, it is possible to renew your registration without logging all the architectural work points, because it's not a compulsory category.
Yes, I understand that. And I just want confirmation that you've noted my first comment on the email sent out after re-registration, that the wording should be updated to align itself with the gazetted wording.
Margareta, I'm sure we will escalate that request to our relevant departments. I hear what you are saying. The email must essentially read that you as the professional have now been re-registered, and these are the conditions of your re-registration. Your certificate is only valid for a period of 12 months, and then within the 12 months, you must accumulate 2 penalty CPD points. In addition to that, you require a minimum of 1 point per annum. Failure to obtain that, you will have to apply for the necessary extension, and failure to do that, you will be charged for professional misconduct.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, could you please have Adrian Pretorius? Please unmute. Adrian Pretorius, please unmute.
Hello. There I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. As I said, I'm 100 years old. I qualified in 1976. I'm not retired. I'm still active. What I've been doing in the meantime, I've been doing a lot of research, private research on a specific category that I was very interested in, and that is alternative building construction and the implication it has for architects. That took me to the UK, Nigeria and Australia, and it all accumulated in me creating my own building system and having it patented, and I'm about to roll it out. What I want to know is, but of course it took me I was so busy that I really didn't keep track with CPD points and all that sort of thing. What I want to know is, in what way can I claim CPD points for this work that I've done and the system that I created and so on?
Adrian Pretorius, the CPD conditions, the category which says category 3B is your individual activity.
3B.
In that category, you can claim for research. So all the research that you've done, you need to determine how much research you've done on a particular year in order to determine how many points you can claim in category 3B for that year. 10 hours is 1 point, 20 hours of research is 2 points. If the research is for a minimum of 30 or exceeds 30 hours, then you claim the maximum, which is 3 points. So the maximum that you can claim in category 3B points per year is 3 points. Over the 5-year cycle, the maximum in that category is 15 CPD points. So that's 15 out of 25. And that means you will have to obtain an additional 10 points in the remainder of the categories, of which 5 points must be from category 1.
Good, thank you very much. That answers my question. I've also started a second business which is got to do with architects, and it's going to solve a big problem that architects normally have with plans and so on. I suppose I can do the same with that one.
I'm not quite sure in what context you are referring to the business that you want to start that will assist architects. But if you proceed and do that, remember that should you require CPD points for presenting something to architects or a course that you come up with, that course must first be taken to the SECAP recognized voluntary association to obtain validation for that event. And once it has been validated by the SECAP recognized voluntary association, you can then market that course and present it and then indicate how many points the voluntary associations have determined and what category can be awarded to attendees of that event.
Good, thank you very much. That answers my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Can we please have is it Geoff Richardson? Please unmute and ask your question. Geoff Richardson, please unmute. Oh. You may ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, I'm currently my status is retired, and the reason for that is that I was an expert witness in a large arbitration, and that is now is actually being postponed for around about a year. And I did make application for that year because I'm then not practicing as an architect. Now the question here is that obviously I understand the whole process of CPD points, but if I'm not doing anything because I'm waiting for the arbitration to set, it's a large arbitration between a hotel group and a construction company, but right now I'm not attending that. So I'm actually not practicing in the true sense as an architect because I'm writing a book at the moment. However, I understand the CPD points, but then the category 1, but then the other categories which relate basically to doing some form of architectural work, I'm not doing that. So what is the process there?
Is it Geoff Richardson?
Geoff, yeah.
I heard you say that you are retired. Do you know if you are registered with SACAP and you are listed as retired on SACAP's database? Or are you retired in your personal capacity, but you are still registered as active at SACAP?
I think you've got two categories that which is retired. What is the other one? I think it's there's two categories. There's one where you no longer have registration. I have a registration number, but it's a retired I'm not sure whether retire is the right word, but I have a registration number that was given to me post my original SACAP number when I applied for this status. So in other words, I'm still registered with SACAP.
Okay, I'm assuming you're talking about the retired expert witnesses, whereby if you are not doing any architectural work, but you're doing expert work, then you can apply for that category. And then once it's approved, they migrate your registration to that category. Then they put RET, either RET or PR expert witnesses as a designation on the number. And then you get, but then that carries through whatever you had as a professional prior to applying for that. So if you're compliant with CPD and you had a valid SACAP certificate, on applying for that, your certificate will migrate into that. And then you will still have a valid certificate. They will just update your designation on your certificate to reflect that you are now a retired expert services on your certificate. However, the CPD requirements do require individuals in that category to comply with the CPD conditions. So that means that you will still be required to at least attend category 1 and then look at category 3B, which is your individual activities. Category 3B, the maximum CPD points which you can accumulate over a 5-year period is 15 points. So that would give you 15 out of 25 points. And the compulsory category 1 CPD points are 5 CPD points, which you can obtain by attending CPD workshops. That means that there will remain a balance of 5 points which you must obtain in either the category which is for your membership of a voluntary association, which is category 3A, or your mentoring category if you are mentoring. But if you are not performing architectural work, then it becomes difficult to mentor, because you have to mentor those candidates in terms of the competencies they are required to achieve in terms of the multi-training records. But yes, if you are registered as that retired expert services category, then you will be required to comply with the CPD regulations. I do know that it stipulates there that you will pay a reduced annual fee. However, the CPD requirements in that category still apply.
Okay, now I understand all of that. So I understand the whole principle. I mean, category 3B, I understand that, and I understand category 1. However, as I say, I'm waiting for this arbitration that was postponed in September, and it still hasn't been reinstated. It is unlikely that the parties will settle, because they're talking about many millions here. So the question I'm asking you, though, is that I understand the 3B, but then I'm still going to be short of five CPD points, which are not part of category 1, and I'm not practicing. As you know, if I was practicing, I could claim the points in terms of practicing. But so in other words, I can claim the full 3 points from 3B, but how do I get the other 5 points for that year if I'm not practicing architecture?
The remaining categories would be either the mentoring or the membership of a voluntary association, because those are the remaining categories.
Okay, just may I ask you then, a voluntary association would be like, for example, the Institute of Architects?
Yes. So if you are a member of the
Basil, but I mean to be registered with the Institute of Architects and with SACAP, and you're quite right. I mean, I paid a reduced SACAP fee for this year, but to now register with the Institute when I'm not even practicing, that doesn't quite make much sense.
Unfortunately, in that category of registration, so when you apply for it, because it's not automatic, it's not imposed on you, it's something that you apply for, and then SACAP approves it, and then they migrate you to that category. And then in that category, you are required to comply with the conditions of that registration category. There's nothing much I can do on my side, because that's a category which you applied for, it was approved, and you are now registered in that category. You are expected to comply with the conditions of that category. Similarly to ordinary professional who's doing architectural work, there is a clause pertaining to non-compliance. There is a clause pertaining to non-compliance with CPD conditions. It also applies in that category. And our legal department, they are responsible for enforcing that one because they charge the individuals for professional misconduct for not complying with Rule 2.7 of the Code of Conduct. Unfortunately, that's a requirement in that category of registration. But
okay, I understand
I would
that.
suggest,
So in principle, what you're saying is that the only advantage of me getting that would be a reduced fee each year. In principle.
Yes, Jeff. If I may come through there, yes, the advantage that you're going to get out of that registration category will be a financial one because you are getting a discounted annual fee. But as far as CPDs, as far as CPDs are concerned, you are still required to be compliant.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lastly, we'll have Isaac.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right. My question is specifically to Basil. It pertains to the certificates of registration and good standing, specifically with re-registration and the 12-month period that that certificate was issued for. Obviously, you need the requirement is the 2 penalty points that you have to do within 12 months. If I've done that and I've done it within the 12 months and I've submitted those claims for I know that SACAP, Basil, you spoke specifically that SACAP will have 30 days to respond to that. I see with mine specifically, it's been a bit longer. And now I'm in the situation where that 12-month certificate has now elapsed. So I just need to know from SACAP specifically, when will it be updated on one's profile? And once it is updated, what is the cycle period? Will it reflect the remaining 4 years? Or will it be for another year up until you've submitted again for the following year's CPD points? So if I can get clarity on that, I'll appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Isaac, the Jesus, please send me either an email after this webinar or contact CPD department and let us check and see what's going on your profile. But I'm assuming that you applied for re-registration and you were re-registered for a period of 12 months. If you have submitted those 2 points and they fall within the 12-month period, assuming that all the relevant certificates were attached and those points have been approved, then your updated certificate will be generated on your profile. The validity of that certificate will be dependent on your date of re-registration. If you were re-registered in 2024 and then your certificate was generated for a period of 12 months going into 2025, somewhere in 2025, then once you have obtained those 2 points within the 12-month period, an updated certificate which is valid until the 1st of January 2029 will be generated on your profile. But if the certificate is not available, based on what you're saying, please either send me an email or give me a call after this webinar, then we can have a look at your profile and see what's going on there.
Thank you, Basil. Yes, that is the case. The certificates has been, the 2 points have been put on my profile. It's awaiting adjudication. So yes, I've done those 2 points. And yes, the cycle of the first year or the 12 months was at the 1st of September. So we're nearly a month over now. And I'm going to be in a situation where I've got to submit plans again and my CPD certificates won't be showing as that I'm complying. So yes, I'll give you a call after the webinar. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
But thank you so much, colleagues, for these questions and the answers. We do hope that the responses that have been provided to you have been insightful. Colleagues, our question and answer session was scheduled to last until 1300 hours. So I see now we are approaching 1:30. I will therefore declare the question and answer session closed. If there are any outstanding questions that you may want to pose, please do feel free to communicate with us via the communication channels that Basil has already provided. At this point, I would like to move on to express our sincere thanks to all of you for participating in this webinar. We do know, colleagues, that it is important to participate in such events because the profession is forever evolving, and then it becomes necessary for you to be equipped with new information on an ongoing basis. For your attendance today, we thank you very much. I am then, colleagues, thanking everybody who participated in the panel. I'm thanking everybody who pulled their weight and contributed to this webinar. I am therefore declaring this webinar as closed. Thank you very much.